Never made it as a wise man. I couldn't cut it as a poor man stealing. Tired of living like a blind man. I'm sick of sight without a sense of feeling. And this is how you remind me of Cosmere Chronicles, the podcast we follow two first-time readers, Sheta and Justin, and we chronicle their journey through Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere series. On today's episode, we'll be chronicling the Stormlight Archive, The Way of Kings, chapters 36 through 40. So now, it is time to throw it over to the host of Cosmere Chronicles. This is Joe! Thank you, Joe. Welcome back, everyone, to Cosmere Chronicles. I am Joe, your host for this evening, or day, or middle of the night, whenever you're watching it. But yeah, that's me, and I am joined once again by Sheta and Justin.
How?
Yay. Hi, everyone.
Yep. Hopefully everyone's having a nice day, or at least maybe you want to have a bad day. I don't know. It depends.
Jeez.
You do you. But let's go. All right. With our random questions, we are going to be knocking it down to just doing one question a week. And I'll be delegating the question to Sheta.
Yay.
Pray it's not terrible.
It's not. Okay. My question of the day is, what is your favorite children's book when you were an actual kid?
My favorite when I was an actual kid was always The Stinky Cheese Man and other fairly stupid stories or tales, one of the two. I really liked the creepy art. I really liked the, to my childhood mind, incredibly unsettling moments and turns in there. And I also thought it was funny.
Nice. It says a lot about who you are today.
All right. Trying to think of one of my children's books where I read it multiple times. You know what? All right. I have one that I know I read a couple times. It had 5 volumes, so it was 5 books. But it was Garfield's Pet Force. It was a story where Garfield and the other characters, they became superheroes, like super buff and all that.
Wow.
And they fuck. It was through some weird stuff where like some sort of they got merged with like something like some comic book characters or something that were like this, and I don't fully remember exactly what happened, but I remember it was that and had a continuous storyline where like villain from one then showed him the next and stuff. Oh yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's cool. That also says a lot since you
I have
still
never
like
heard of this.
Stuff. Yeah.
I'm looking at it up right now. It looks pretty fucking awesome. But I have never heard of this.
That's cool.
I was so sad because I think volume 5 ended with a with like kind of a cliffhanger, and they never made a volume 6.
Oh.
All right, Sheta.
Okay. For me, probably my favorite kids' books were the Frog and Toad books. That's what I read continuously.
You got to give us a why.
Well, we always had silent reading, and it was always just probably 15, 20 minutes, maybe a half hour. That's too long for like a 3rd grader, but yeah. I just picked those because I could read them in that amount of time. So, and then
but that's not why they're your favorites.
They're my favorites because they're cozy and they're fun, and the art was very, I don't know. I just really liked the coziness. My favorite was when Toad had a list and the list was actually drawn out, like what was on the list.
Oh, that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, another one I will throw out there. It wasn't a single book, but just the Goosebumps books. Read a shit ton of those.
I wasn't counting books that were for what
chapter
age groups
books?
that for? Like 5th graders, 6th graders? I was going. Younger.
No, 5th and 6th is more Fear Street. Goosebumps, that's more like 2nd, 3rd graders.
Joe, come on. Do you remember the typical fucking 2nd and 3rd grader? It was not for that age group.
Yes,
just because you and I were less dumb does not mean anything.
No, because at the school I went to, the Goosebumps books from the library, only 2nd and 3rd graders were allowed to check them out, and everyone was checking them out. That's when they became popular. First graders and kindergartners were not allowed. 2nd grade is when everyone started reading Goosebumps.
Well, the kids I was surrounded by were not able to fucking read, so that's not how it was for me.
In my library, they were even on higher shelves, so you had to at least been this tall to read them.
Yeah. I remember people getting into them in 4th grade. That's my memory of it.
Yeah, I feel like that's when they were super like popular, like at the book fairs and everything.
I even remember being in 2nd grade, checking out a book from the library, and then that day getting home, and it's when they were exploding in popularity. Then there was like some news report in local news talking about the Goosebumps books. And one parent's like, my kid read a book and they were terrified. And I'm just there like, oh crap, I didn't grab the terrifying one, did I?
I got very scared of the covers.
Yeah, they were good.
Now, if we're counting chapter books like that, Animorphs was my fucking jam. That was my shit, man. I read the fuck out of that series like I've never read anything before.
Okay, if we're doing chapter books, then it would just be Harry Potter for me. That was probably my first.
When did those come out, though? What? Oh, we were young when those came out. Yeah, so I think that counts.
Yeah.
I think we were his age, weren't we?
Prisoner of Azkaban came out when we were in.
I said, don't dox us. Don't age us.
You've been aged 100 times on these
questions. Yeah, but at least
Sheta.
Give him a little bit of a workaround. Not
Sheta, we just said we liked Goosebumps and Animorphs. Nothing would age you quicker than that shit. I was like, oh, I loved the Stinky Cheese Man. I loved Garfield's Pet Force. Like, come on. You can figure this out so fucking easy.
Yeah, but you don't just say, this is the year we were in when this book came out. You know? You can still leave it up to interpretation. Like maybe you
Joe, she has a point. You are forced to cut that out. So Sheta will not be doxed in her precise age.
Yes.
In fact, you can just censor out what it was, so people will know something was said and not know what.
Minus everything else we've said on this podcast.
Yeah, but we've never given a set year. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
And also with chapter books, I remember when everyone else was reading like Harry Potter, I was sitting in class reading the Star Wars EU books.
Dude, well, everyone else was reading frickin' like C-Spot Run. I was reading fucking Jurassic Park. I don't. I have such a low feeling about the people around me at that age. They were. And it's crazy when you get up to fucking high school. I had to do a book report with a kid in high school, you know, where we had to read a book together. And to find out he couldn't fucking read was very shocking to me to realize.
Oh my gosh.
What book he could read?
I think it was Christine. It was some random book. He let me pick it, and I later realized it was because he can read like one word a minute. I'm just like, oh my God.
I'm going to guess he used SparkNotes for that book.
No, I did all the work. That's what it was.
All right. Well, there's our one question for the week. Trying to cut down some of the time because some of our episodes have been fairly long recently.
We'll also help that by we'll do the barest minimum recap, and we'll give no thoughts whatsoever on the book. So that should help us rush right through.
Yeah.
Yep. This week we read chapters 36 to 40. Some shit happened. All right. Favorite character. Go. But anyways, before we actually recap the episode, let's recap what happened on last week with Justin's turn this time.
Let's see. Kaladin had a horrible bridge run. I believe that was last week. Got half the army killed because of his selfish desire to protect his own people. Got strung up in a high storm, deservedly to be killed for ruining the entire thing. But then, for God knows what reason, the gods spared him while his little fairy fought off little thing, or tried to help him out, told him where rings were. He saw a weird-ass face in the clouds. Shallan and Jasnah.
Wait.
Shallan and Jasnah.
Why is the she-devil here?
Yeah. Yeah, Shanna the she-devil was in the Savage Land with Khazar. And, what did they do? They talked Shallan talked with the religious guy, and he was perfectly nice and clearly liked her, and suddenly Sheta became insanely suspicious of him after that. But Jasnah believes that he is just using her to get closer, also believes he may want to steal her stone hand thing. Soul caster. Yeah, thank you. And did something else happen? I don't think so. Am I missing something major?
No, I think that's
Mhm.
pretty much it. I don't know when Sheta took over Justin's body during the Kaladin recap, but being all pro Sadius.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Sadius did
It was
nothing
like,
wrong.
yep.
And then this week we've read chapters 36 through 40. Nice mix of chapters, 2 Kaladin chapters, 2 Shallan chapters, 1 flashback Kaladin chapter. So, what do you guys think of these chapters this week?
I thought they were very eye-opening. Like had a lot of lot more open hints about things and clues and things. I don't know why, but a lot of things clicked into place for me in these chapters.
Yeah, they gave us some little tidbits, that's for sure. That add to the tapestry we've been seeing laden before us.
Mhm.
I got really, really mad at Shallan in these chapters.
You did?
Oh god, yeah. For one teeny little thing. Well, not teeny. And I like how with Kaladin, every time that it seems like things are going to turn around, he reminds us that things are actually worse than they were before. I think that's been very funny to see. But I think I had my favorite part in the entire book so far happen in these chapters.
I think I have a guess.
Do you?
I'll say what my guess is after.
After?
I have a guess too.
You know, the way you guys are saying that, I think you're both wrong.
My guess was that it was Jasnah's lesson.
And Sheta, what's your guess?
Jasnah's bath.
Both of you are wrong. You have accurately described both sides of me, and yet both of you are wrong. Because it's something much stupider and smaller.
You're like, Justin likes violence. Justin likes boobs.
Not violence, philosophical. Oh yeah, the lesson was violent. Yeah.
I guess Justin just met his new favorite character, Relier.
Oh god, yeah, great guy. Did nothing wrong.
All right. Well then, let's move right into our into the chapters. Starting off with chapter 36, The Lesson. Epigraph. Taking the Dawn Shard, known to bind any creature, voidish or mortal, he crawled up the steps crafted for heralds, 10 strides tall apiece, toward the grand temple above. From the poem of Ista, I have found no modern explanation of what these Dawn Shards are. They seem ignored by scholars, though talk of them was obviously prevalent among those recording the early mythologies. So this is a Shallan chapter. We begin it, and Shallan is reading an account of Gavilar's thoughts on his early meetings with the Parshendi while in the bathroom while Jasnah was bathing. And like the bath that Jasnah, it's kind of like one of the large baths, and they have like some new heating fabrials, which are like a newer technology that helps heat rooms. It heats the water and stuff. So yeah, they have some nice indoor plumbing.
Yeah, that's such a nice little cheat to have a much nicer living condition. I like when they say they just received one to keep the rooms warm. Like, man, that's
Yeah,
a
I love
game
those.
changer. Yeah.
I would have some in my pockets all the time just to warm my hands and like a heated blanket.
Doesn't that seem like kind of a waste?
Yeah, but they
I
sound
also feel like
awesome.
if
They
it's
have to get
if it's hot
hot.
enough to if it's hot enough to warm a room, do you really want it in your pocket?
Yeah.
It's gotta
I
be
like
a
things really hot.
fire. You're
Is
gonna
it a
burn
fire hazard?
yourself.
Going through his meetings, and Gavilar had met with natives in the past, such as the Natin people, who had pale bluish skin and wool-like white hair. But he was still surprised to see that the Parshendi were able to fend for themselves, because he knows that if a Parshman was left out in the wilderness alone, they would just stand around doing nothing until someone came around and gave them orders.
I have such a hard time believing that. I think that image of them is so funny. I'm like, what do they think the Parshmen are if they're so helpless? Like, where would they originate from? How did they survive until now? Like, they don't believe in like evolution, I'm sure, on this world, but they do know other peoples exist. To just think the Parshmen are a type of people who live to serve, like, I just think that obviously there's something much more to this, and I would be very questioning of it if I was in this society.
And this discovery of the Parshendi could overthrow everything that they knew about their gentle servants. And then in the undertext, which is text that's never read aloud, and it's only meant for those who can read it. So like the women who are scribing it for their husbands or fathers or whatnot, they sometimes will leave little notes like clarifying, this is actually what he meant. Or like in this one, Jasnah was saying, yep, my father told me this, but he told me to write it in better, smarter language.
I like making that clarification. It seems like a lot of the old texts they read when she's doing the annotations and stuff in the openings don't make those clarifications. So I like that she's somebody who says this is not exactly what was said, so don't take it word for word. I have, specifically made this sound smarter. I think that's actually really telling of the character as a historian.
This, I think, I said last week that I don't trust the women in this world. This just makes me trust them less. Like, if you're writing something your husband said and you're like, yeah, but he's an idiot, so don't listen to him. Like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Or that is totally not what happened. Like, this is what happened.
How useful do you think, though, real history would be if, like, the people who are doing all the conquering and ruling and stuff weren't able to read, and the people who were scribing were able to be a little more honest about what had happened, How useful do you think that would be?
I do like that, and I do like that it seems like these annotations and notes are kept pretty sacredly, like everyone kind of tries to be honest in them.
Mm-hmm. But you're right. All it takes is one person who's ambitious or conniving or even just angry,
Mm-hmm.
If you're having your wife take all your notes, there's not going to ever be a time when she's not that happy with you, Like, yes, he said all this, but he's a lazy buffoon who never does the dishes, so you can't trust him. Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see that, like, a more But, a wise ruler would probably know, or would probably consider that in who he's allowing to write this stuff down, right? So that it's somebody he trusts, right?
Yeah.
They don't know that they do it.
Well, yeah, but I'm sure that
Yeah, they'll never know.
Is my wife or
read.
daughter... Yeah, but is my wife or daughter trustworthy, or are they like a scheming, horrible person, And so a good ruler, I think, would take that into account on who they allow to write their thoughts down. So maybe if you have notes that have a bunch of stuff that makes somebody sound bad or is contradictory, you'd know that was not a competent man or woman who teamed up to write that down. You know what I'm saying?
You mean it will speak to the kind of person he is, regardless, right?
Yeah, I think you could read the subtext and try to learn quite a bit from that alone. This seems like such a strange, interesting, and frustrating system, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, and then also in the undertext, Jasnah writes that, her father had originally dismissed the Parshendi as nothing until scholars explained to him the importance of this discovery. And
that part I think is hilarious, too. When she says, I don't say this to be a bitch, it's just how it is. I thought was funny. Or he's a good fighter, that he does his role well. I like seeing that she does respect the men in their culture. She doesn't look down upon them.
Yep, and at this moment, Jasnah, she's just in the bath, just soaking, not really paying attention. And Shallan looks over at Jasnah's soulcaster, which was in a golden pouch on top of her garments. And Shallan, she was carrying her broken soulcaster on her, and she could swap it while Jasnah was preoccupied with her bath. And Shallan wonders if she could betray Jasnah. Shallan thinks that considering what she has done before, this is nothing. It would not be the first time that she has betrayed someone who trusted her. And then Shallan, instead of swapping it, she gets distracted and begins asking Jasnah, why did your father want to make a treaty with the Parshendi? And Jasnah, she leads Shallan in a conversation. And eventually Shallan figures that, alright, Gavilar must have found out that the Parshendi had shards and he wanted him. And Jasnah says that he never said it out loud, but she figured the same thing. And he had told Jasnah a story about how, he had gone on a chasm fiend hunt with some Parshendi. And at one point, he notices a Parshendi puts out his arm as if to summon a shard blade. But then that Parshendi noticed Gavilar and stopped doing what he was doing. And after Gavilar's death, Jasnah studied the treaty that they had signed very carefully. And in it, it gave Alethkar favored trade status with the Parshendi, And that would have prevented the Parshendi from trading shards to other nations before coming to Alethkar first. And Shallan, once again, Jasnah's not paying attention, so she begins to make her move to swap the soulcasters. And she tells herself not to think about it and just do the swap. And then Jasnah says, tells Shallan that I was wrong to judge you so harshly when I first met you. You have determination and the capacity to be a respected scholar. And Shallan, she just feels sick and realizes that she cannot do the swap. She cannot steal from Jasnah. She has failed and now has doomed her family. And Jasnah notices that Shallan looks penned up and says, all right, we're going to have some hands-on training. She says they will have a training in philosophy, which confuses Shallan as to how philosophy could be a hands-on training. Jasnah says, we're going out. And Shallan asks, but it's so late. Why are we going out? After Jasnah dresses up, the two of them go out into the city at night. Jasnah's leading Shallan, and she ignores some rickshaw pullers and palanquin porters and just walking on the streets.
I thought it was going to be a fun girls' night.
Basically,
bar.
By the time they got to this point, this is about what I figured it was going to be, because I'm like, this is dangerous. As Shallan keeps pointing out all nervously. Why would they go to the bar? What would the bar scene be?
Well, maybe you could learn about people. Maybe you see Jasnah's cool party side. I don't know.
You think she has a cool... You've seen her cool party side. It's when she's researching.
No, she'll be you also have to learn how to party. And, and the way she said it seemed like we're going to have a girls' night. I'm going to let my hair down.
She did let her hair down. This is a girls' night for her.
Yeah, I guess, you know what? Maybe this is how Jasnah parties.
To go out and do something you find purposeful is a party night for her.
Where do you get, we're going to go out party and have a girls' night, when she's telling Shallan, we're going to go out and study philosophy in person.
That's what I could see someone defining it as, people watching.
I can see what you're saying. You're saying a scene in a stupid movie where you're to know how people work, you've got to see the people. Take that guy over there, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
He seems like this, but he's actually this. And then Shallan would be like, wow, I never... some super generic, boring scene, right?
Yeah. They're rich ladies, too, so we might go and slum it with the normal peasants or something,
Oh, God.
When Jack takes Rose down to the bottom of the Titanic and they dance with the peasants, and she's like,
that's a good
fun.
example, yeah. Yeah. And philosophy would be dancing, because the simple folks know truly what is right and wrong. Is that it?
They know how to have fun. Let's talk about.
Yeah. Well, thank God they didn't do that. That would have made me hate this chapter.
All right. Instead, they're walking down some dark streets, and Shallan's beginning to feel nervous. And Jasnah asks Shallan, "What do you think of this dark street?" Shallan says it doesn't look appealing. Jasnah's like, "Yeah, it doesn't, but it is the most direct route to the theater district." And then she begins walking down it. And Jasnah begins talking about how, when we were kids, we believed everything was right and true, but as we grew older, we began to question things. And that's why she rejects the devotees, because most of them seek to stop the questions. And then Jasnah takes off the glove that she has covering her soulcaster, so that way she can use the gems in it to light the dark street. Shallan asks if it's wise to show off her wealth like that, and Jasnah says, no, it's not.
I was so excited when she said that. So I'm like, oh yeah, I know exactly where this is going.
And Jasnah tells Shallan how in the last 2 months, there have been 3 separate occasions where theater goers were attacked and killed by footpads on this route. She says that Taravangian has sent reprimands to the city watch, but the captain of the watch is a cousin to a very influential Light Eyes, and Taravangian is not a very powerful king. Some even suspect the footpads are bribing the watch. And Jasnah asks Shallan if it's foolish for them to walk like this while wearing their riches, and Shallan says it is. And then Jasnah moves down an even darker alley as she puts back on her glove. She says that Shallan clings to her idealism of youth. Shallan wants to argue, but she thinks of the terrible things that she has done and the terrible thing that she was going to do. Was it possible to do something horrible in the name of accomplishing something wonderful? And Jasnah says this is philosophy in action, as 4 men begin to surround the women. Shallan can see murder in their eyes. And then Jasnah says And now the lesson, as she takes off her glove. She touches one of the men, and her hand sinks into his body, and then he turns into fire. She doesn't start him on fire, she turns him into fire. The other men panic, and Jasnah touches one of them and soulcasts him into crystal. And when she does that, then like the smoke stone on her soulcaster cracks. And then the other two, they try to run away, but Jasnah sends out a bolt from her soulcaster and turns the two of them into smoke.
I loved every second of that.
Shallan is shocked and says that was horrible, and that Jasnah just killed 4 men. And Jasnah says they were about to beat, rob, kill, and possibly rape us. Shallan says that Jasnah tempted them by showing off her gemstones, but Jasnah responds that she did not commit any crimes, and it isn't wrong for a woman to walk around with her possessions. She says that she has taken these men off the streets and has made the city safer. Shallan responds saying that Jasnah did that through the power of something that should be holy. Jasnah says that this is an important lesson for Shallan.
I like how Jasnah doesn't explicitly, argue her positions too much. She just kind of objectively says, well, philosophically, is this wrong because of this and that? And then when Shallan's getting all mad, she's basically like, that you could say that, I felt that it was very funny that this is truly a teachery moment where she's put her into a very difficult moral position right up front to see it, instead of having her just read about it in books, and then does not even argue too much her righteousness in doing it, even though her ward is clearly very disturbed by what she's just seen.
At this point, Shallan's pissed at Jasnah and says that you only did this just to prove to me that you could do it. And Shallan, in her mind, she questions whether she ever really knew this person. And Jasnah responds that, I didn't do this to prove a point. She did this to help out Taravangian since he has taken her in. And she begins talking about, men like these, with an edge in her voice, but then she stops. She tells Shallan that this does give Shallan an opportunity for instruction. And so Shallan is to spend the next week researching whether what Jasnah did was right or wrong. And she says that there will be times when Shallan must make decisions that will churn her stomach. They go back to the palace, they head back to where the rooms are, and Shallan is just bothered by Jasnah's cold callousness of her actions. And Shallan says that you only need to kill one of them, you could have let the others go, because then they would have been too scared to try anything again. And Jasnah responds that Shallan doesn't know that for a fact. In the future, a helpless bardmaid could have been found by them and she would not have been able to protect herself. But Jasnah can and will. Shallan says that Jasnah has no authority in the city to do that. And Jasnah says, alright, that's a point that you should consider when you do your research. Then Jasnah, she's busy combing her hair, getting stuff ready, and before she goes to bed at the night. And Shallan just cannot believe what Jasnah has done, and that she made Shallan a part of it too. How could she use something holy and beautiful for destruction? Jasnah did not deserve to own the soulcaster. So Shallan, out of her own soulcaster, she pops out the smoke stone when Jasnah is distracted, does the switch, and takes this broken soul stone out of Jasnah's, puts it into Shallan's. That way it looks the same, and yeah. Shallan has swapped the soulcasters, and Jasnah did not notice. And that's the end of the chapter.
Ooh.
I think it's so funny and sad that she needs some moral justification to steal it, and just talks herself into it here. I found that very fascinating.
I relate to this.
In what way?
Just kind of when you're not wanting to make a decision and then you wait until you're forced to instead,
Mm-hmm. I do have to ask, what if she had stolen it before the bath? Jasnah put it on, brought her down to the docks, tried to light it up, it didn't work, and then they got attacked by a bunch of creepy guys.
Yeah.
That would have sucked.
Well, we do have one thing from the next Shallan chapter where she does think in her mind that she did carry a concealed weapon, which she did not use.
Yes, but we don't know that at the time of reading this. That I am curious about.
Yeah, things could have gotten really bad.
Yeah. I'm not mad at Shallan for taking it. I'm mad that, just like I've complained about this whole book, she does not have a plan. Her whole plan was, I'm going to get to be closest to Jasnah so I can swap it, which is immediately going to put suspicion on you. If Jasnah tried to use it in an hour. She would just know, oh, she swapped it because I used it this afternoon and now it's not working. Like, she'd immediately be found out. Why would you do it? I know she's in the heat of the moment, but to do it right after she used it, I think is one of the most stupid times to possibly
But
swap
it's
it.
the same. It looks the same. It could just be broken.
I don't think she'd be stupid enough to think that. I feel
But
like if you know how it works, you'd know how it breaks too. Do you know what I mean by that?
I think that, but I also think Shallan has some kind of like superpower to make things exactly how they are, with her drawing skills. Like, she's been studying it and kind of like making the one she has look just like it. And I think she might
I
have been
think
able
that
to
if
do it.
anyone can make it look the same, it would be her. I don't disagree with that. What I'm saying is there's a lot of people who can make forgeries out there, If
But
you're
I'm
going to
saying
swap
that
it,
her drawings aren't just look really good, like whatever it is. It has the soul of whatever she's drawing in it. That's what I mean.
I hear
Like
what you're
maybe,
saying. We
yeah.
don't, even if it did, even if it's a perfect down to the feeling of it, if you're going to be suspected that it was stolen or swapped, if that's a possibility, which Shallan is worried about, she's actually quite worried about that, to steal it after Jasnah used it an hour ago, then maybe in like 10 minutes, Jasnah uses it again for some reason and it doesn't work, you would have literally been the only feasible person who could have possibly tampered with it or done anything with it, which would make immediate suspicion upon you. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And that to me, I'm like, it really bothers me that Shallan has not figured that out by now and thought like, because she says a little later, I can throw suspicion onto somebody else if somebody knows it was swapped. But if she realized it was swapped right now, you could not do that. And that bothers the crap out of me for her planning. With how much is writing on all of this and how much danger she's in, really drives me nuts because she's had so much time to think about this, When she was going to steal it before the bath, sure, because she didn't know she was going to use it, but she would have just been kind of screwed. Actually, that might have been more believable that it wasn't her because she would have gone with her into a dangerous situation, So maybe that would have been for the better. Just the exact time I wouldn't have done it is when she did it. And she did it because she had a feeling. She had an emotional reaction, not because of her logically, planning out what to do with it.
Anything else from this chapter either you two want to go over?
We finally got our bat scene. That's all.
Very undescriptive, but we do know that even completely naked, Jasnah looks like a beautiful woman. It was very specifically said in there.
She's confident.
Mm-hmm. She doesn't have a bunch of wrinkles. She doesn't sag all weird. So we can all imagine that when we imagine this scene.
I think one little fun fact I know of from listening to other podcasts is I know that like the UK version of this book, it was split into two halves. You had Way of Kings Part 1, Way of Kings Part 2. I know this chapter, this was the end of Part 1 for that 2-volume set.
This? Why wouldn't you make it Kaladin surviving the high storm and then start it with this? That's how I'd do it.
Well, I think I don't know exactly the exact split for pages and stuff could go into it. And the other thing too, I think, is you kind of get Kaladin's story ends with him surviving the high storm, and then you get this chapter with it's kind of ending Shallan's whole thing, where it's been all about stealing the soulcaster. So now you end both their parts of the story in the book with a big climactic moment.
Let me guess. The UK version, each copy costs the same as one together copy does here.
I don't know. I
It's
don't
just
know
some evil trick.
Oh, it's kind of I know A Storm of Swords and A Dance with Dragons. Those, I think, English versions of it in places outside the United States were usually split into two parts.
What, are people not from here not intimidated by big books? What's the reason for that? That's so weird.
I don't know. I just know that UK they has it, and I was listening to a podcast where they were reading those books and they were Canadian, and same thing, those books were split into two.
Well, anyone who knows, tell me culturally why you're splitting your books into two. It's weird. I don't approve of it.
I don't know. I like cutting my sandwiches in two.
That's not the same at all.
Yeah, but you don't buy them as two separate sandwiches, one to eat now and one to eat later.
I would if I could. I do save half of my sandwich sometimes.
Well, I guess we've answered the question.
And yeah, I also like how last week I asked you if Shallan was going to steal the soulcaster, mainly because I knew it happened the very next chapter. Well then, let's move on to chapter 37. Oh wait, no, first I need to ask you. So this chapter 36, the title was The Lesson. So why was that chosen for the chapter title?
Because Shallan misinterpreted a lesson.
Because Shallan is gonna learn a lesson when, after she suffers the consequences.
I do think she's going to be able to pin it on the other guy because I don't think Jasnah actually uses it all that often, it seems.
I have a theory on that.
A theory?
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think Jasnah suspects Shallan at all. She has too many things on her mind.
Oh man, what's going to happen is there's going to be like, you remember at the beginning when she freed that person who was trapped under all that rubble, you know? There's going to be a situation like that where she's the only one who can help. Her thing doesn't work, and Shallan's going to have to feel guilt for somebody dying. That's what I expect. Because she keeps saying, is it right to do something wrong, to do something good? I'm like, selfishly helping your family at the expense of others is not objectively good, Shallan. You know, that's actually a very selfish act, you know. You said yourself that it's intent that determines if something is good or bad. Your intent was not altruistic, you know. So I find it very interesting that she's trying to teach her this morality stuff, like not knowing. You know, it'd be funny if she knew all along that that's what is being planned too, you know, and is purposely doing it here. But I doubt that very much.
All right, now we'll go on to chapter 37, called Sides. Before the chapter begins, there is some artwork that shows pretty much it's kind of what Shallan draws in a later chapter. You get some shale bark, you get to see some Kremlings and stuff like that, and it also makes everything look very underwaterish looking.
Oh, let me see.
Oh yeah, you didn't get to see. Yeah, you'd like that one.
Oh, I like these drawings. You know what I'd like to see is some like bonus feature books where they do, they make books look like journals with a lot of like notes and scraps of paper and stuff like that to make it look like it's someone's actual study. I would love one of those for one of these books, you know. And this one would be great because they do a lot of research. It would be fun for Mistborn too, though.
Are you saying like at the end of Watchmen when they have those supplemental in-universe materials?
Yeah, that would be fun too, but I wanted a
Okay, you're not
specific
talking about
whole
that.
book, like one of those like fairy or dragon books that have like the envelopes you can open and
Oh, I see. So like a world of Storm or
yeah,
Way of Kings, and then it would just be okay.
it'd be like the Stormlight Archive journals or something, and it would have all the drawings and letters and stuff, and maybe describe like how those span feathers work and stuff like that, you know. But yeah, this is
So
just
pretty much-
Atlantis. That's interesting.
Pretty much the Ars Arcanum, because those are written in universe, and then you also had
Yeah,
like
does
all
that
of
count,
Chris's
Sheta?
notes in white sand.
Yeah, if they just did that, but like an illustrated and notes version, that would be really fun.
Well, would it be like that journal, the Gravity Falls journal you have? That's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
closest I can think.
Yep,
Yeah.
those are always supplemental to a lot of
Mhm.
ones that have things like that, mysteries and research and stuff like that. I predict in the future we're gonna get something like that.
All right. So we go into this chapter, and it's a Kaladin flashback chapter. 5.5 years ago. So Cal, Tien, and Hasina are peeling long roots. The people of Hearthstone have stopped giving Hasina work, so now the family is having to do just what they can in order to get food. And Tien shows off a rock that he had found that kind of changes color when in the light, and Hasina says, well, it does that because of the spren. She says that spren live in everything, and that they appear when something changes. And Cal and her have a little back and forth talking about spren and stuff. And he has recently been thinking about the way that the world worked. And Cal, he's also come to a decision about his future. And he will become a soldier the next time the recruiters come into town. And then Cal notices that a carriage was coming into town from the City Lord's mansion. And so he tells his mom, I'm going to go rinse off. He goes,
He's supposed to wash off some of those roots that he had, but instead he just leaves them at the door and he runs down into town toward the carriage. The carriage has been sent to bring Lirin up to Roshone for a meal with him. And Cal says I'm coming too. And Lirin says this will not be a pleasant meal. And Cal tells him, I know, I'm not a fool. So while he's in the carriage and they're on their way, Lirin's talking. He says that he wasn't sure he was even going to go to this meeting. He had considered just simply moving away and bringing the family to Kharbranth. And even if they choose not to go to Kharbranth, any Alethi town would welcome, a surgeon. Or he could even go to Kholinar, and he has enough skill to be a physician's assistant there. When Cal asks why he hasn't gone, Lirin tells him that, yeah, it makes sense that we should leave. But, this is my home. I've cared for the people here. And even though Cal has seen the worst of them recently, there was a good time before that. And Cal says, yeah, I guess they're fine when you heal them, and they did appreciate you. But Lirin tells him, well, they still appreciate us. They may grumble, but they also have been secretly leaving food for us, even though Roshone is against it. After they arrive at the mansion, they are led into the dining room, where Roshone is sitting, and he is already eating. There was a separate table there that was set up for them, but Lirin says that, I'm of the second non, and I have a personal invitation from you. I'm going to eat at the same table as you. And Roshone reluctantly allows him to. And Cal thinks about how he had always thought that his father was weak, since his father didn't like fighting. But his actions when those men had shown up to rob him were not cowardly. So food gets brought to them, and Cal had never eaten Light Eye's food before. He tried some of it, but it is much spicier than he had expected. And Roshone asks Lirin, how long do you plan to resist me? Lirin says, we're doing just fine, and even if things start going bad for us, we can just leave. Roshone says that if he leaves, then he'll just contact the new city lord and tell him that Lirin stole the spheres from him. But Lirin says that, I would win an inquest over that. Roshone complains that Lirin prepared the right documents and that he was the only one there when Wistio had stamped them. But Lirin tells him that the clerks read those documents to Wistio and then they left the room. And Lirin tells him that they were ordered to leave the room by Wistio himself. Roshone says that he can't prove that Lirin stole the spheres, but he will continue to make his family suffer for Lirin's pride. And Cal thinks that Roshone, he's not a real Light Eyes. He's just a reject, and one day Cal will meet the real Light Eyes.
Boy, I hope he does. He loves those Light Eyes so much.
Lirin says that every month that we resist you, it's a blow against Roshone and his authority. And Roshone, he says that he does not like Lirin's little town, and he hates being treated like he is in exile. And he also hates Dark Eyes, who think they are above their station. And then he offers a deal to Lirin, where Lirin can keep 10% of the spheres. Cal tries to cut in, but Lirin tells Cal, you know what, go to the kitchens and get some food that's more to your taste. As Cal leaves, he wonders if his father is going to capitulate. And Cal finds himself crying. He wipes away the tears, and he goes in the kitchens, and they say they will make him flatbread and fruited tallow rice, which is a kid's meal. And Cal just feels embarrassed.
Sorry. I just imagine it's like a little Happy Meal or something. Here you go.
Yeah, just put a Happy Meal down on his high chair.
Yeah.
And Cal goes and he sits in the dining nook, and he wonders why is he so upset about his father giving back the spheres if Cal wasn't even going to go to Kharbranth anyways. And then Laurel and Relir, Roshone's son, walk nearby. It is the first time that Cal has seen Laurel in a long time, and she has changed. She looks more like a Light Eyes with the way that she has her dress on, safe hand covered. And now her hair is completely dyed black. Because her hair used to be, blonde and black, but now it's just pure black. That way she looks more Alethi and not showing off any foreign blood. And when Wistio had died, his wealth had gone to her. And Sadeas had also given her a dowry when he gave the mansion and the lands to Roshone.
How nice.
And then
Did
Relir
you say how
sees Cal.
nice, Sheta? Like, Sadeas, how nice of him to take her land and mansion, but he paid for it, so it's okay.
He's setting
Is that
her
what I
up.
heard?
She's gonna marry well now and have a place.
Oh, yeah, lucky her. She gets to turn into a fucking noble bitch. She must be so happy.
Better than being on the streets and having to whore yourself out at 12 years old. Or
They
whatever
live
how
in a
old she
nice
is.
village. I'm sure somebody would have taken her in.
Oh,
This
and
isn't
live
like
with some
the
dark
fucking-
guys? No
this
way.
isn't the urban... Oh, okay, I see how it is. All right.
Yeah.
She would have married Kaladin,
And be a dark eyes wife.
Oh my god.
I don't think so.
You
That's a step
did
down for her.
You cannot go that far in defending Sadeas and this entire system.
I'm just saying, to Sadeas, he did what he could to help her out.
No, he did his he was like the bare minimum of what he is required to do.
Yeah, instead of nothing, which he could have done
Instead of
too.
nothing. Actually, that's interesting because I'm consistently shocked when there's actually not that much overt corruption we see in this system, you know.
Yeah.
Like this
Mhm.
new guy in charge, he's not just killing Kaladin's father, you know, and taking it. He knows there'd be an inquest and this stuff. And it seems like their system is actually incredibly rigid, which I find very interesting. And that really sucks for the people at the bottom, but it also provides some form of stability that I'm surprised about from what we've seen of Alethi culture.
Mhm.
I'm not defending a feudal hierarchy system. I'm just saying I'm surprised it's not more corrupt with what we know about them.
Yeah.
All right. Relir sees Cal, and he goes over to him and tells Cal to go fetch them some food. But Cal says that he's not a servant. And he tells Laurel, tell him, you know. And she responds, well, go on, boy. Do as you're told. We're hungry.
I fucking told you. I told you to stay away from that bitch.
He didn't do. If he would have just gone and been a soldier or something, she gave him a chance too, I think.
If he would have gone and become a soldier, he would have just died, and she would have only been bummed out about it. No way. And she didn't need him to become a soldier. She needed him to become a soldier and kill a Light Eyes and get their shard plate and shard stuff so he could become a Light Eyes by the myth they're all told is what will happen.
That's the
so
way
that
of the
he
world.
could come back and then be worthy of marrying her. No,
Mhm.
you stay away
That's the
from a
way of
girl
the
like
world.
that, Kaladin. She is bad news, man.
She's
Also,
one
Sheta.
young girl. She can't do anything about it.
Oh, I'm not saying that I think that she's morally at fault here. She's quite young, right? She's just acting as a girl her age would. I'm saying
Yeah.
stay away from that bitch. She's going to grow into a horrible woman. That's what I'm saying.
That's mean.
You think that's mean?
Yeah.
I would say that about a lot of noble people if you were thinking of getting with them, and especially in a system where they will be above you and are raised to think that they will be. I also think
I
that
don't know why you would think they would be anything but their nature. Is what I'm
the
saying.
only reason that two people like that should get together is if their feelings for each other transcend what society says it should. If you don't have that, you just stay away from that because she's not going to be a good person. That's what I'm saying.
Well, Justin, how much of it, too, could be of her being pretty much raised by Roshone for the last couple years?
Oh, boo fucking who. That's what I say about that. Plenty of kids are raised by some of the worst people ever, and they wind up being very kind still. None of that crap. I think it makes perfect sense. I don't think she's a bad person or evil or anything. I'm saying Kaladin's dodging a bullet. That's what I'm trying to say here. She showed her true colors in those last couple of years. When you call your good friend boy just to impress the guy you're going to be forced into being married after dyeing your hair black like that, getting all like, you know, what's the comparison? Like,
Preppy.
yeah, like you meet a new group of friends, you dye your hair, and you start telling all your old friends that they're problematic, horrible people.
Yeah.
Fuck her.
Take
That's
off
what
all
I
those
say.
preppy clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Why'd you
Like
have to
we
be
know,
so...
we remember what you used to be like. Don't pretend you're all like this.
Man, you've changed.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're too hard on the young girl. That's a very hard time for any girl. And she's an orphan now, right?
I
Like,
actually have a lot of sympathy for her as a character,
just-
as a person. I'm saying Kaladin's dodging a bullet. That's what I'm
I
saying.
think he
here.
agrees, so that's fine.
I don't know if he does. It's really interesting to see his moral conflict when he's comparing himself to being childish and being adult, but he's still got these childish thoughts and hopes because he does clearly like her still, you know. So I actually think it's quite interesting. I'm just saying I snuffed this out from the first chapter.
I snuffed it out. I did a 180. I didn't like her, and now I'm defending her.
Yeah, why are you defending her now?
I feel bad for her.
Yeah,
She had everything
I feel
going,
bad
you
for her
know,
too.
and now she's got to do what she can to survive, you know. So that's what I think. She's just trying to survive.
She's got to do what she can to survive at the nobility status that she wants to remain at. That's what she's doing. And I have little
She's also
sympathy
a
for somebody
kid.
like that.
She doesn't know like what to do. She's probably doing what people are telling her to do, and that would be like Thaddeus, you know.
Yep.
He's
And
probably like,
people who
okay.
do what people are telling them to do are some of the worst people who have ever existed in all of human history. So I will not fall by that argument. Kaladin is a strong-willed, independent person who seems to want to forge his own place in the world. That's a very unique, strong kind of person.
One other thing I have to go back with what Sheta said a bit ago, where she's like, Laurel, all Kaladin had to do was join the army. That is literally his plan. He quite literally could not do it before now. All right, so back to Kaladin and all them. So after Laurel says that, Kaladin snaps back that he's not an errand boy and that he's a surgeon. He says that he won't be bullied by Relir, just like how Lirin won't be bullied by Roshone. And after some back and forth, Lirin says that, I'm city heir, and it's my duty to see that jobs get done and to give important tasks to idling light eyes. And he makes fun of Cal and tells Laurel to see how his little mind works. He tries to figure this out. And she pretty much asks Relir, stop. And he's like, all right, fine. And he leaves. Well, they both leave. And then a serving boy brings Cal his food, but Cal, he just sits there and he doesn't eat it. Eventually, Lirin arrives, and he says that he wishes Cal had eaten it because the food was free. And they get in the carriage, and they're leaving back home. And at this point, Cal tells his father that he wants to be a surgeon. He does not want to be a soldier. That was the dream of a child. Lirin asks him what changed, and Cal says that he wants to think like them. He wants to be able to face them and not fold. And Cal asks how many spheres Lirin gave to Roshone, and Lirin says none. Roshone is greedy, and if Lirin gave him any spheres, then he's going to want the rest. And this meeting was just so that way Roshone would think that Lirin was close to folding. Cal wonders why even do this in the first place, and he thinks that Lirin wants Roshone to keep focusing his attention on attempting to make a deal. And then Cal realizes that his father actually did steal the spheres.
That's sad. I don't like that.
And Lirin explains that Wistiel was not lucid in his final days, and that with his death, they were going to lose the promise of the union between Cal and Laurel. So Lirin he made sure that certain promises were kept. And he knows that if Wistiel was lucid, he would have given them the spheres anyways for Cal's, education. And Cal says, all right, I still want to go to Kharbranth, but I will find a way to pay back the spheres. Not to Roshone, though, but I'll pay them back to Laurel since they're technically hers. Lirin says she's going to be a Roshone soon anyways. Roshone will not allow himself to lose her dowry, so there will likely be an engagement between her and Relir before the end of the year. Cal's stomach, it turns at the mention of Laurel. He wants to go, he wants to learn, become a surgeon, and then he questions, well, what would I do next? Would I come back and convince Laurel to leave Relir for me? That's just ridiculous. And Cal looks at his father and thinks that he is both a villain and a hero, but he is a hero for his family. And Cal says that he wants to learn how to face the Light Eyes. Lirin tells him that he wants Cal to learn in order to help people, not to get back to the Light Eyes. And Cal says that he wants to go by his full name now, Kaladin. He had hated how it sounded before because he thought it was like a Light Eye name, but now it fits. Kaladin would be a man who would learn surgery and the ways of the Light Eyes. Then he'd come back and he'd prove to Roshone, Relir, and Laurel that they had been wrong to dismiss him. And that's the end of the chapter.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to learn that he had stolen those spheres. That puts a lot into context, makes more sense too.
Everyone's stealing stuff. Just Shallan and then now Kaladin's dad. Well, yeah, I didn't think it would end up being like that, but the way he said he did it was his reasoning for it, I don't know. Is kind of the same as Shallan's, where you're trying to figure out what was right and if it was wrong and stuff.
Well, do you think it was right or wrong for Lirin to steal the spheres?
I don't think it's right or wrong. I think it's just a choice, I can understand his reasoning. He doesn't want the money to go to, like, whoever the next asshole's going to be,
Yeah.
But, technically by the rule of the law and their order and system they have set up, it is a wrong thing to do. This, he would have done it stuff, that's total BS. You have no idea, It was a selfish act, Would I have done the exact same thing for my kid like that? Very likely, yes. However, I actually find myself feeling very little sympathy for the man because I like him. I think he's interesting and cool. But he has this idea that it's wrong to charge, for medicine. So he relies on charity. Because he's done it that way, you know, he's set himself up in a position where no one values his services in any way whatsoever. Even though they give charity to it, it's just like church. You don't value church. It's like a thing you're obligated to do, because you believe in this faith. You have to go do it. It's for a greater purpose. And somebody who's leading the church is doing a holy role. So you do give up the charity happily. But in this system, he's just decided, oh no, you can't charge for medicine. And set his whole family up in a position where he needs to steal these frickin' things in order to pay for his son to go become a surgeon too. And even though morally I can understand it, I just don't feel a lot of sympathy for the position he's put himself and his family in here. So right or wrong, like, you can justify stealing from this man, but you can't justify charging an incredibly low price for your services,
Yeah. I think we know what's right and wrong and stuff. And
by that logic, is it right for the people who farm to charge for the food? Like, probably not, And the people up top who are leading everything, they're getting all this money anyways. For what, By his logic, money shouldn't exist, but it does in this system. So maybe if I learn more about his backstory, I could have more sympathy for that. But as of now, I'm like, dude, I think you're kind of stupid, because little has more value than saving somebody's life, If anything has value, that does. That's what I'm saying.
Isn't it in the culture or is just to not charge for that? Like, that's how it is in that world, right?
What? When was that? I don't remember that.
I think they said that it was kind of not traditionally right for doctors and surgeons to charge. Is that right, Joe?
Yeah, I thought it was just his choice. Yeah.
I don't think we've really seen any other surgeons.
Yeah, but like there was a little bit where, I don't know, where they said something like that.
So the closest thing we had
weird.
was, Kaladin was talking with like the apothecary and surprised at how much he was charging for, antiseptics and everything. And Kaladin thought about how his father didn't charge for medicine, but we don't really have any other comparisons for surgeons.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Anything else from this chapter you two want to go over?
No, I'm good.
And the name of this chapter was Sides. So why do you think that was chosen for the chapter title?
It's just everyone's picking their side, or is revealing their side, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. I would think it's because they're being pushed onto sides, not necessarily picking, so similar to what you're saying. Otherwise, I don't know what it would be, unless I'm missing something obvious.
Everyone's getting put onto sides. What, like choice or being forced to, or I think the more he got older, the more you're kind of forced to pick one.
All right, we'll move on to the next chapter, which was chapter 38, Envisager. Epigraph. Born from the darkness, they bear its taint still, marked upon their bodies much as the fire marks their soul. I consider Gashash, son Navamis, a trustworthy source, though I'm not certain about this translation. Find the original quote in the 14th book of Seld and retranslate it myself, perhaps? Alright, so with this chapter, it's a Kaladin chapter. Kaladin's healing in bed from his high storm ordeal. And throughout the entire chapter, his mind, he keeps going back and he diagnoses all the different injuries he has and how to properly heal them. He's going in and out of consciousness throughout the whole chapter. At one point, he wakes up and he sees all the other bridgemen, asleep, and he thinks that he's surrounded by corpses that are pretending to be alive. And he wonders how he is alive right now. He thinks about how he has failed everyone, but that he won't fail Bridge 4. But then he thinks about Lameral's words, bridgemen aren't supposed to survive, and that it must mean something. And another time when Kaladin wakes up, he sees death spren, which are like these little red spren black spren with like red eyes and stuff. And they only appear to a person when those people are close to death. And they're coming towards him, and standing between him and the death spren was Syl, who's fighting them back with like a sword of light.
That was my favorite part. I thought that was so funny to have him wake up and she's having a little like heroic cartoon warrior battle thing, holding back all these cartoon spider monster things that are trying to get at him to basically finish him off, it seems, like carry him over to death or cause whatever death is. And she's doing her best to valiantly protect them. I thought that was the most adorable little thing I've ever read. For him to
That's
also
so
only
cute.
half see in confusion. And then, I can imagine that scene in the movie, just this quick little flash of, yeah. It makes
That's
me
the
think of like
cutest
Fern
thing.
Gully or something.
I always imagine her as Tinkerbell.
Hmm.
So with a little sword, toughly trying to fend them off. That's cute. I didn't guess that would be your favorite part. Or I wouldn't have guessed that.
There were a lot of death spren, and more appeared each time that Kaladin, came back to lucidity. And then the chapter switches over to a Tef POV, and he heads into the barracks to check on Kaladin. Pretty much bridge forward, they've been keeping a watch on Kaladin because they worried that a Light Eyes might try to kill him in order to relieve Sadeas of the problem. Because Sadeas had said that he'll let the Stormfather judge him. He survived, so now, Sadeas can't do anything to kill him now, but some other Light Eyes might just take it upon themselves to do it. And Teft asks Scar, how is Kaladin doing? And Scar answers that Kaladin's getting worse. And he mentions that Kaladin had mumbled about dark shapes, and Teft knows that it's Deathspread. So Teft takes over watching, and Scar leaves with his shoulders slumped. And Teft asks Kaladin, why now, and why here? Teft didn't know for certain, but he had assumptions, hopes, and fears. He had rejected the Envisagers in the past, though. And Teft, he takes out 3 spheres, puts them into Kaladin's hand, and watches. And, nothing happens, so he thinks, all right, that's it. So when he's gonna go take him back, Kaladin breathes in, and the stormlight and the spheres go out. And wisps of light come off of Kaladin's body, and his body heals a little bit. It was still in bad shape, but now it was slightly better. Teft is shocked and says, it's true. He once again asks, why now, and why here? And he knows that he's gonna go, and he's gonna bring more spheres to Kaladin, but he's gonna be slow with bringing him spheres. He doesn't want Kaladin to heal too quickly and draw too much attention. And Teft thinks that he needs to tell the Envisagers. But then he remembers that they were all dead because of what he had done. He doesn't know who he should tell, or who even would believe him. And that Kaladin likely doesn't even know what he's doing himself. And that's the end of the chapter.
I always liked Tef. I feel like there's something more to him now. If
Sounds like there is from what he's saying.
he knows something. He might have been an Ardent or something. That would be cool.
I don't think we've really learned much about his past, have we?
Only that he's disappointed in himself for some reason.
Yeah, and he feels he killed somebody, I believe.
Well, Kaladin believes that he was, a soldier and stuff with the way that Teft acts. And Teft has told Kaladin, you can't trust me. I always betray people or let them down, something like that. All right. This was a shorter chapter, but anything else you two want to go over with it?
Just that part. That was all. I liked seeing what the Death Spren looked like, too. People talked about them before. I like that they look like little monsters. I think that's fun.
Yeah, that's scary. I like the visual, of Syl. That's very cute.
Mm-hmm. We're also learning that she's doing quite a bit to protect him that he has no idea about. And so it makes me wonder what more we don't know about her or she hasn't revealed about herself and what she knows in general, too, because she doesn't really share any of this kind of stuff very often.
All right. And this chapter was titled Envisagers. So why do you believe that was chosen for the chapter title?
Gee golly, I wonder.
Sheta, do you have a...
Oh, sorry. What was the chapter called again?
Envisagers.
Envisagers. What does that even mean?
I don't think we've heard that before Teft brought it up, unless I'm not remembering, of course.
Envisagers. Yeah, I'm guessing if it's a made-up word, then that word.
Oh, it's like a title, like a group of people. It was capitalized in the book, I believe.
Oh, okay.
He needs to reach out to the Envisagers, but they're all dead because of him. That's what he thought. So they must have a knowledge of the light in the spheres, in some way of how to work that.
Okay.
And he also said that Kaladin probably didn't know what he was doing, implying that Teft may know what he's doing, or at least some version of it.
Yeah. Yep, that's Teft's order of the Envisagers.
So now we'll go on to chapter 39. Burned into her. Epigraph. Within a heartbeat, Elazarv was there, crossing a distance that would have taken more than 4 months to travel by foot. Another folk tale. This one recorded in Among the Dark-Eyed by Kaladin, page 102. Stories of instantaneous travel and the Oath Gates pervade these tales.
See, Shallan, that's why you read old folktales. You get this weird shit in there that implies things that you could maybe, that had some basis in reality, such as this teleportation.
So chapter begins, and Shallan, she keeps drawing the images of Jasnah killing the footpads. She did not take a memory of it, but the images are still burned into her mind. And it's been a couple days, and Shallan, she's also been studying the philosophies about what Jasnah did, and most of them are saying that what Jasnah did was justified. And Shallan continued to draw while thinking. Her theft of the soulcaster...
No, for this part, Joe, I gotta cut in and say, she should be reading frickin' Spider-Man or Superman to find this, or Batman, is this justified thing? It sounds like these philosophers she's following haven't put enough thought into the other side of what murder is. It made me frustrated to see that.
Yeah, what is she reading? That's like, yep, sounds fine, sounds fair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she read 2 or 3 different philosophies that were like, well, according to this is the right thing to do. It's justified to do. And I'm like, man, these philosophies must not be that varied if you can't find one that condemns just killing in general. But it is going to probably be somewhat Alethi leaning, I guess, where killing is not seen that way.
Yeah, someone tried to fuck you up, you fuck them up. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Alethi morals.
Yep. And then this answers something I was wondering too. I was like, can Shallan even draw? Or does she just channel her memories into her art? I'm glad to see here that just a memory she has without doing that specific capturing of them, she is still able to draw it well. So that answered that.
If I was Shallan, I would be terrified to doodle. Like, after that one drawing, I would be scared of seeing what I end up doodling.
We do see her drawing like the shell bark and stuff later, and she's not doing memories of those either.
Yeah, but I'm saying we learned that now, not later. I was wondering that for a while.
Yeah, and so she continued to draw just while she was thinking, and her theft of the soulcaster nagged at her as much as Jasnah's killings did. She had originally planned on stealing the soulcaster to save her family, but she didn't. And the reason that she actually did wind up stealing the soulcaster was, because of what Jasnah did. And Jasnah, she has been wearing the fake soulcaster for a few days, and she has not noticed the switch yet. And Shallan worried that Jasnah could go out there and put herself into danger again, and find out at that moment that the soulcaster was not working.
Yeah, find out this is something she does like every other day. Just go out and kill a few murderers. Like she's actually like she's frickin' Venom out there doing a lethal protector thing. Like, so Jasnah was the masked mystery woman out there killing villains.
I like it. Super Jasnah. Heretic woman.
Honestly, her thing reminds me a little bit of like the Punisher.
What does it remind me of?
No, I think Venom's better because Punisher's out there on a war. That's all he does. Venom, Eddie Brock still has a life, and then he'll go out and just murder people.
Eddie Brock's also connected in a symbiotic relationship with a black oily substance. I don't think Jasnah is connected to some black oily substance.
How is that even relevant to this conversation? I could say Jasnah doesn't use guns. Punisher uses guns.
Yep, that's true. No, I thought of more like Edward Cullen when he's looking for like bad guys to kill and eat their blood or drink their blood.
Like when vampires purposely find people who attack them and then have their... Oh, Angel doesn't do that. Cassidy does, though. Yeah, to purposefully have the excuse to kill them, and then eat them with no moral worries, But Edward can cheat because he can read minds. Imagine how shitty somebody must be that you read their mind and see their whole life and inner world and still think it's justified to eat them. They must be real crap.
No one's going to miss this guy. Kill him.
Yeah.
Yep, and there was another aspect of that night that Shallan thought of. She had carried a concealed weapon with her, but she did not use it. And then Shallan freezes when she notices what she had been drawing. It was a dead man in fine clothing, lying face first on the floor with blood pooling around him. And Shallan
So
realizes
she
she has
dazes
to...
out and she draws Lovecraftian nightmares, and then she draws murder scenes she's likely witnessed in her past. Like you're saying, Sheta, she should not zone out while drawing. This is a dangerous thing. Her subconscious comes
Yeah.
out in nightmarish ways.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna get yourself in trouble. Like that's evidence
Mhm.
against you. Hey,
She's
that
gonna
looks
be
like
doodling.
our victim. Like
She's gonna be doodling, and Jasnah's like, "What are you drawing?" And she's like, "Oh," and looks down, and it's her stealing the frickin' glove thing.
yeah.
Like,
Uh-oh.
oopsies.
Stupid.
Yep, and so then, Shallan realizes, all right, she needs to get out of here and away from all the philosophy and the questions. And Jasnah, she has not demanded Shallan to come to the Vale, and Shallan, she's worried if that means that Jasnah suspects her of stealing the soulcaster. And then a servant comes and tells Shallan that one of her span reeds are flashing. It's the one that's connected to Shallan's family. Shallan had tried to contact her brother, for a couple days, but she had gotten no answer. So Shallan takes her span reeds and begins talking with her brother. And Nambalat, he explains that he had to leave to attend a feast in their father's name, and it took days for him to travel there and travel back.
I know he
tells
had
him that
to, but when you're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I had to go to a fancy feast. It's not my fault I wasn't around while you're out doing this stuff," it just drives me nuts to hear.
He's got to keep up appearances, Justin.
Mm-hmm.
She tells him that she has stolen the soulcaster, but she has not left the city yet. It'd be too suspicious if she leaves and then Jasnah finds out about the soulcaster right after Shallan left. So instead, Shallan plans she'll wait until Jasnah finds out about the soulcaster, and Shallan will see how Jasnah reacts. If she can, she will deflect Jasnah's suspicions onto others, perhaps the Ardentia.
I'm glad
But
she's
if Jasnah just believes that it simply broke, then hey, then Shallan's home free. Nambalat asks, well, what if Jasnah suspects that you stole it? Shallan says, well, if she does, then it would be better if I was here. Because if I left, then Jasnah she's determined, so she would hunt me down, and then we would likely have our own high princes and king after us. But if I was here, then Jasnah would simply, likely just take back the soulcaster and then banish Jasnah. Nambalat says that Shallan has thought this out better than he has, but time is running out. Shallan asks for just 2 or 3 more weeks. In that time, she's also going to try to figure out how to use the soulcaster. Nambalat tells her that the men who had given their father the soulcaster visited again, and this time they were asking after Shallan. Nambalat is worried about them, and they disturb him in a profound way. After ending the conversation and burning the paper, Shallan, she sees a maid that she does not recognize, and she's worried that Jasnah has sent a maid to search Shallan's room for the soulcaster. So Shallan figures, you know what? It's just going to be safer for me to keep the soulcaster on me in my safe pouch. Safe pouch is like a pouch that's inside their, safe hand area, and it's like something that's very sacred. You're pretty much no one's allowed to search that. And she thinks if Jasnah, if she's gonna search my room, she'll find it anyway, so it won't be any different than if it's on me. And Shallan feels like she needs to go outside and escape for a while. As she's about to leave, the maid hands Shallan a basket that was left for her. It was a basket of bread and jam with a note that said, Blue Bar Jam. If you like it, it means you're mysterious, reserved, and thoughtful. And Shallan thinks, well, maybe I should go talk to Capsule, because I always felt better after a conversation with him. But she stops herself, because she knows, I'm just going to leave the city, and I don't want to keep stringing him along. And Shallan was growing afraid of where this relationship was going. And Shallan thinks about how, she had clung to the hope that she could find truth and use it to explain what she had done back in Yakaved. Shallan, she goes out into the palace gardens, and she draws for a few hours. She's drawing some shale bark and some cremlings and snails, and she notices that the snails and the shale bark have like a symbiotic relationship. She thinks about how they help each other, but she wound up just betraying Jasnah. And then Shallan, heads farther into the gardens, goes to like this little hidden area where it's kind of like an alcove where she can see other people coming, but they can't see her. So this way, she'll know if someone's coming in time. Because she decides to take out the soulcaster and practice using it. After she puts it on, she expected to feel power, but she just felt nothing. So she takes some shell bark and she's trying to think and soul cast it into crystal, into smoke. She tries fire, then she realizes that that's a bad idea. I don't want to burn my hand. But nothing happens. Nambalat had asked Luesh how it works, but Luesh had said, well, it's easier to show you than explain. And now Luesh is dead. So after nothing works, Shallan just puts away the soulcaster. She's going to have to keep searching the Palanaeum for a way to use it, or she might just ask Capsule if he knows. And if that doesn't work, then maybe she can go back to her homeland and go to the King of Yakaved or the Ardents, give it to them, and see if they can help her. Shallan feels that it would be even worse if she stole Yasna's soulcaster and just gave it to the Ardentia. What she has to do, that's just going to be another difficult decision. And that's the end of the chapter.
Man, Jasnah did a bad thing teaching her philosophy. She's using it to justify all kinds of stuff. Like, you're going to have to make decisions that make your stomach churn. And she's like, I guess I'll start right now. That's what I have to say. I just can't see a situation where she leaves and isn't immediately suspicious because she worked so hard to get this. This is one of the most prestigious positions you could ever have in all the lands. And she's just going to be like, yeah, this isn't working out. I'm going to go back home suddenly after your most valuable thing that you have broke. It just does not seem like I would not become immediately suspicious that she had come in to do something. Like, I would at least investigate her thoroughly, and then come to see that, I don't know what you'd find, but I just don't see it going well. I don't think she's smart enough to pull this off.
Everything so far has kind of fallen in her lap and has been working to her advantage. Like, I could see that happening again, where oh, my brother's suddenly sick and I have to go home. Yeah, so I was like, that's fine. I'm gonna go visit my uncle anyway. And so she leaves,
Mm-hmm.
I could see that happening.
And I do have to ask, is there not, does she not, in this position, now I guess this is all happening very soon, actually, so never mind. But I'm also not convinced that these fucking repossession guys even exist to come get this thing. We've never seen them, right? We just hear about them in letters.
It's just her brother's word.
Mm-hmm. I don't trust her brother, not even a little bit.
That's just because
And
he's
now
a
we
weirdo.
find out. Yeah, and now we find out she's even got some weird secret she's keeping from us, with her weapon and this dead body and stuff. There's something shady going on here.
What dead body?
The one she drew.
Oh, that was not the one in the street. That was a noble person.
Yeah, it was a noble person in a house. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. So there's something shady with that family that if we don't know something about her, we definitely don't know something about her weird, creepy brother.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't put that together. That's crazy.
All right. Anything else from this chapter you two want to go over?
Mm-mm.
All right. So this chapter was called Burned Into Her. So why do you believe that was chosen for the chapter title?
I think that memory is burned into her.
Yeah. I think all the memories that she has are seared in her brain. And that's probably why she has such good observation skills or photographic memory and stuff.
Oh, you think it's tied to the murder? That'd be interesting.
Oh, no. I just meant to Shallan in general. Like that her power is that's what's happening is whenever she takes in something. I don't remember how she says it, but I think that she burns it into her soul or her mind and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we'll move on to our last chapter for the day. Chapter 40, Eyes of Red and Blue. Epigraph, death upon the lips, sound upon the air, char upon the skin. From the Last Desolation by Ambrian, line 335.
Sorry, what was it upon the lips? Ash upon the lips?
Death upon the lips,
Death
sound
upon
the air, char upon the skin.
Well, the Parshmen make sound upon the air and have the dark... What was the last word?
Char upon the skin.
Yeah, they've got char upon the skin. Do they have death upon their lips?
Maybe the song is the lips.
Could be. Maybe when you kiss them, you die.
Just like poison ivy.
Yeah, we'll see that next chapter when Kaladin's like, we need to find another way to make peace with our enemy.
Ugly.
The one of the Parshendi are played by Uma Thurman.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep.
You just gotta have some fake lips on, and then you go do it.
Yep. Just like my boy Tim or Dick Grayson.
Chris O'Donnell.
Mm-hmm.
So it's another Kaladin chapter. Kaladin manages to get up and walk out of the barracks. He sees Bridge 4 is practicing with the bridge. And Moash is in front, and when he sees Kaladin, he stops, which almost causes everyone carrying the bridge to just fall over. And Kaladin tells them that they need to practice, because if something like that happened out on the field, then it could lead to a disaster. And everyone, they're all crowding around Kaladin, all happy. And Kaladin, he's thinking about the storm and the face he had seen in it. He wonders, was that the Stormfather himself? Was that a vision or just a delusion? Kaladin asks how long he was out, and he's told 10 days. Which shocks him, because his injuries should not have healed faster than 3 weeks. And Moash tells him they had 2 bridge runs while he was out, and they lost Idler and Tref. And then the horn goes off, and they have to go out on another bridge run. And Rock calls on the men to line up and show Captain Kaladin how we are. Kaladin's confused why they call him Captain Kaladin. Lopen explains that, they had tried to make Rock bridge leader, but then the men just started calling Kaladin the captain, and that made Gaz angry. And Kaladin, he's thinking about Lamrel's words, and he suspected what they meant. Kaladin goes to join the bridge crew for the run, but Rock refuses to allow him to join them because he's just freshly healed. But Kaladin, he still decides to go with Lopen and Dabbit as they carry the water out. And we cut to a little bit later, after the battle has begun, and Kaladin, he's standing there and he's watching the battle and really paying attention to it for the first time. And he's realizing that Sadeas runs a lot more bridges that are really necessary in order for this stuff to work. And Rock and Sigzil, they join Kaladin as he watches. Kaladin asks them, why do the Parshendi fight? Their numbers must be diminishing and they're raiding less than they used to. Sigzil figures that, the Parshendi, they must have soulcasters, and that's why they are fighting for the Gem Hearts too. Kaladin also asks them, why can't the bridgemen have shields? Rock says it would slow them down too much, but Sigzil says, no, that's not true. We could have bridgemen just simply run out in front of the bridges with shields, and that would not slow them down all that much. And Kaladin says, we make good targets. We're supposed to draw Parshendi arrows. We're bait. Shields would make us less tempting. Sigzil says, well, that's foolish. Too many people will die. And Kaladin says, it's not foolish, because this way you're not losing your trained troops. And as Kaladin watches the battle, he can see that there's a noticeable difference between how skilled the Alethi and the Parshendi are in the battle. Because the Alethi are able to keep lines and stuff, while the Parshendi mostly are always fight in pairs. And the Parshendi, you can tell that they have not fought in large-scale battles before. They likely only ever fought in smaller skirmishes. And then we cut to a few hours later. Bridge 4, they're sitting around as Rock's cooking the stew. And all of their spirits were high, except for Kaladin. Because he now understands how futile their struggle is, and why Sadeas has not bothered with Kaladin's survival. Because being a bridgeman was already a death sentence. Kaladin had wanted to show Sadeas that bridge crews could be efficient and useful, but a bridgeman who survived was also one who failed. And Kaladin, he's coming face to face with the wretch that he was before. He's going to fail Bridge 4. He can't let them to continue to run bridges, but he cannot think of an alternative to that. And next, Maps stands up, and he says that he has a present to give to Rock from all the bridgemen. He gives it to it, and it is a straight razor. And Rock begins tearing up, and he goes inside while telling the men, the stew's ready for you. And Kaladin, he gets up, and he worries that he might become the wretch again. And he sits down near Sigzil to talk to him. And he says that Sigzil speaks like he's educated. And Sigzil answers that, for his people, it's not a sin for a man to be keen of mind. Because Sigzil, they mentioned earlier, he's Azish, which is, looking at the map, it's to the west. It's a large country to the west, called Azir. Sigzil tells him that, his education was never complete, and Kaladin says, well, mine wasn't either. And he tells Sigzil that he had apprenticed to be a surgeon. Sigzil says that the men, they all say that Kaladin is secretly a Light Eyes. Even though his eyes are dark, he could just simply be a leader that was raised outside of Alethkar. And Sigil does point out that how Kaladin had used that spear in the chasm, but Kaladin responds that the spear is a Dark Eye's weapon. It's not a sword. And Sigil asks if Kaladin will ask him of his past. And Sigil asks, would you be fine if I was a murderer? And Kaladin says, well, if the person you murdered was a Light Eyes, then I might have to buy you a drink. Sigil says it was not a Light Eyes, and the man isn't dead, but not for want of trying. He says it was not the wisest choice he made, but he mentions his master, and then he just sort of trails off. Kaladin asks if his master was the one who he tried to kill, but Sigil says no. And Sigil tells him that Kaladin was right about the bridgemen, and they are sent to die. And then he brings up the country of Marabethia. He explains that their condemned are left to hang out over the sea upside down. And they're given cuts on their cheeks so that they bleed, and they are used for bait for great shells. A criminal may instead demand just for an execution instead, but they never choose that. Because if they can survive for a week, then they are set free. They always take the chance, but they never last more than a day. And the Marabethians have a saying for someone who refuses to see the truth of a situation. You have the eyes of red and blue. Red for the blood on the cheeks and blue for the sea. Sigil tells Kaladin that he does good work. At first, he had hated Kaladin for lying to the men, but now he sees that them having this false hope and happiness before they die, it's a good thing. He says, you are a leader, Kaladin Stormblessed. Kaladin wanted to eject and say that it was not a false hope, but he just could not do that now with what he knew. And the Rock comes out with his face shaved into pretty much mutton chops, and he says, the men, you're all family now. The men laugh and agree to have a shave, but Kaladin doesn't because it just did not matter to him. He thinks if eyes of red and blue even fit them, because then it would mean that Kaladin actually believed that there was a chance they could survive. He realizes he is falling back to being the wretch. He couldn't carry the hopes of the bridgemen. He was not strong enough. And that's the end of the chapter.
I'm sorry, but I just can't not think of old 3D glasses for the title of this.
You figured it out. The show's going to be in 3D. This deep, heartfelt, symbolic story.
I
got
know.
3D glasses on the mind.
I'm sorry.
It's interesting because Kaladin is losing hope now, but I feel like he's given his men enough hope that they will now work to bring hope back to him. Like he's created something bigger than himself. He seems to think that he needs to shoulder it all, but I don't think he's going to need to because, they have a philosophy on this bridge now until they all die, of course, and then that, of course, would kill it off. But as the guy said, until then, they're all dying is inevitable here. It's always inevitable, but to make those moments even remotely bearable is basically almost enough, So I think it's really interesting he's losing hope here, and I think it's going to lead to an interesting part soon.
I like the idea of him giving hope to the men, and they are running on their own, and now they are going to. Yeah, I like that idea. That hope is something that grows and is shared, and
Yeah. However, I think if Rock dies, it would be a huge morale hit to the team. He seems like the most popular guy holding it all together.
I also like how the story went, because the common thing to do, and that you would see in stories all the time and stuff, would be Kaladin survives the high storm, and the next time we see him, he's standing up being like, I survived. In your face, Sadius, you can't beat me. That's what you'd assume from how so many stories go. But instead, this big, heroic, standoff moment has led to Kaladin being even more depressed than he was before.
And when he realizes that Sadius doesn't even care if he survives or not, that's a pretty depressing moment to realize.
And another thing I like with how this book has been working with the Bridge 4 and the characters in there is we're slowly getting to know them more. It wasn't a case where, it's not like beginning of the book, here's Bridge 4, here are all the characters, here's what they're like. Instead, it's like, all right, we start off learning about Teft and Rock. We get to know them. And then it adds some more. There's all right, Dunny's the young one. Moash.
Yeah, it's all a cruel trick, though. It's just to get us to remember and like all of them, give everyone a nice moment, trick us into thinking we're getting to like them on our own, so he can kill them all off and just hurt us so bad. That's what I'm expecting here. Like, I'd almost rather he just introduce them all at once, like you're saying, because then at least you'd be like, oh, okay, yada yada died, who cares? But the second
Justin,
Teft dies now, I'm going to be shedding tears.
To have lost is to have loved. It's good.
Uh-huh. And as Agent K says, sounds like somebody who's never loved never loved and lost.
I liked your theory of them helping him, and I hope it's true.
Mm-hmm. I expect some version of that. I feel like it's all set up.
And I like same thing with what I was saying. It's like some of these characters, we hear the names a little bit before, and now then it builds on them. Like Maps, we heard his name like once or twice before, just like, yep, and Maps was there running in the front or whatnot. Now we see him, it's like, yep, I have a present for you, Rock. It's like he also had a birthmark that looked like the Reshi Isles on his chest, but Kaladin just doesn't see it. Or like Sigzil, he got mentioned so many times earlier where it's like the guys who were against Kaladin were Moash, Narm, Sigzil. And now we're actually getting to see Sigzil and why he was against him.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you just give us these names where we don't connect with them, and then later it's like, oh, okay. So it's not like out of nowhere he showed up. All right. Anything else from this chapter either of you two want to go over?
No, we talked about all the best stuff.
All right. And the chapter title was Eyes of Red and Blue. So why was this chosen for the chapter title?
I hate being asked this. I hate so much being asked this and saying, well, it's because they told the fable of the eyes of red and blue. Drives me nuts. The other thing would be that everyone has eyes of red and blue except Kaladin now. Maybe they can give it to him.
Mm. I wonder if that derived from, like, the idea of wearing rose-tinted glasses or something.
That's where you got it? That's interesting. No, that's just because you're still thinking of the 3D glasses.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, it's again one of those things you always are defending those old fables or stories and stuff like that. And I don't know. It's nice to get ideas from old things like that.
Mm-hmm. That's another thing. Even if they have absolutely no historical value, there's a reason stories like that have existed so long. They have some deep intrinsic human value that you can glean from them in a way that's better than somebody just telling you, don't keep warning people of a thing that's not actually happening, because sometime it might actually be happening. The Boy Who Cried Wolf is a much better way to say that same idea to somebody.
Mm-hmm. It's shorthand for our lessons.
All right. Then we'll move over to Theories and Prediction segment. Okay,
You are never allowed to do that again. If you ever do that again, I will come over there and I will kill you.
I think you should make a real little tune.
Evidence against you.
Yeah.
You think what, Sheta?
I think you should have a real little tune that you put in there. Or maybe just that clip of you doing it and put it in every time.
Oh, God, no.
That Justin won't know that it's happening unless he listens to the episodes.
Oh my God.
Sneak it in.
All right, but first question I have is so in the flashback, Kaladin now has decided that he is going to be a surgeon. But we know that he doesn't and he becomes a soldier. So why does he become a soldier instead of a surgeon?
Because his family's killed. That's always been my theory. Things are going to go south hard. He's going to see that though his father has some wisdom, he's going to reject everything he's ever learned from him and go become a soldier instead, and then learn to see the wisdom in parts of what his father thought and hate the world even more, specifically Light Eyes.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he starts learning and he sees that they're never going to respect us, are they? And they're never going to respond to anything but this violence. And he just,
Yeah, that's the only way to win respect in this world. Yeah.
Yeah, only way for Dark Eyes too.
See, I like that story. His family all gets killed, everyone he cares about gets killed, and then he learns that the only way to affect the world is through violence. Saving lives doesn't actually help anyone. Mm-hmm. And then he learns the reverse in the modern day that we're watching.
And then with Shallan, will Will Jasnah find out that she stole the soulcaster?
Eventually, yeah.
At this point, I
yeah.
think that with what's set up, it's going to be that the other guy is held accountable for it, and some horrible thing is going to happen. And Shallan will have to have a very strong moral debate. Or Jasnah's going to die because she can't protect herself from a rock falling on her. And Shallan's going to feel real bad about it. Something like that. But I don't think that she's going to be caught. Unless she turns herself in.
Okay, and then last one with Shallan. She said she's getting worried about her relationship with Capsule, and that she's gonna have to leave to go back to her homeland. So, how's that gonna go? Is she gonna end things with him, or will they become a couple?
Will Capsule and Shallan be a couple?
Yeah.
Is that allowed for Ardents?
We already went over this. We don't know the full rules yet. We've had implications, but we haven't had anything explicitly said.
And besides Sheta, even if there are rules, you can always break rules.
Joe. I didn't know. I guess I don't know enough about Capsule's intentions, but he does seem pretty nerdy to keep sending her jams. Like that's really that would get a little bit annoying after a while. But she seems to like it. So, I think they might.
You know what would be really funny? If he is just using her to get to the... Why do I forget? What's it called? The hand thing.
Soulcaster.
If he is just using her to get to the Soulcaster, and he's been planting all this evidence that it was her, and then he steals it, and all the evidence points to her, and then they find the Soulcaster in her bag, and he doesn't realize he stole a fake one, and she gets in trouble for something she technically did, but did not do, because he's doing this plan in the way that I think you should be doing it, and she is not. That would be freaking hilarious.
I thought something different when you were saying that. That I thought that he would somehow steal the Soulcaster and then he would have stolen the fake one. That's all.
That's what I said.
Wait, really? But
yes,
you said he would frame Shallan, though.
Yes.
No, I didn't. I'm not saying that he would frame her. I'm saying he would just get in trouble over there, and Shallan would be free.
Oh, no, that would be a bad story because then she would have no guilt. It wouldn't matter, that happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Everything seems to go well for her.
No, it would be he steals it thinking it's the real one, plants the evidence on her, not knowing she even has the real one, gets away with the fake one, they catch her with the real one, and it just is the worst thing ever for her. That's my new theory, just because I want to see that happen.
All right, and any other theories or predictions you two want to just throw out there?
Yeah, I've got some.
I think the dead body, I do not remember. Remind me if we have contradictory evidence, but I think she killed her dad in a moment of, defense, since he was very verbally abusive and mean and stuff. And that's what her weapon is that she's hiding. And that's the dead body she drew. But I do not remember if they said some other thing about how her father died, if it was, explicitly a disease or he explicitly fell off a cliff or something.
All it said is that their father died.
Okay, then that is my theory. I think she killed him with whatever power she has, and that's going to be revealed why she feels so driven to take care of her family and right this wrong, basically.
Okay, so in the lesson, and with the Fabrials in the bath and stuff, I wonder if the Fabrial powers are derived from spren, and if there's a little tiny heat fairy in those eggs in the water or heating up the tub. Did we talk about that yet? I
barely know what you're talking about now. Where'd these eggs come from?
Well, those are the Fabrials. I'm sorry, I'm calling them that's how I imagine them,
Fabrials.
Yeah.
No, I get it, but when did it become an egg?
I'm sorry, that's my own thing. I call them Fabergé eggs, remember?
Oh, okay. So
because they have gems in them. That's what I keep thinking of. So I imagine them looking like eggs, but they're not. They're orb things. So I just have some ideas and basically just conjectures about how the Soulcaster works.
So not theories. That's what you're saying.
Yes. And Is the magic a manipulation of spren, and are the spren a source of magic, or are they just also riding the same waves as whatever the magic is? Like is change the magic, you know? So I just wonder if when you are doing what looks like magic, if it's just some kind of thing connected to spren to make things hotter, or I don't know. I think it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. That is interesting, actually. If spren are in a thing, they say everything has spren, right? His mom said that, or whoever. Then when they transmute one thing into another thing, are they actually just changing the spren in it? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, like if the
Or did I just
spren,
make that part up?
yeah, if
Like
they're
that they're not
manipulating the
changing
spren,
it into food. They're changing a stone spren into a food spren, basically.
yeah. Hmm.
If that, I wonder. That's interesting.
And then my kind of connected theory or conjecture is, so the Fabrials have gemstones in them to power them. And then what are the money orbs called? The one like
Aren't they just
Spheres?
spheres?
yeah, they just called spheres. Okay. And they also have gems in them too. So Stormlight gets used up to power something we're seeing, to heal him and to power him and stuff like that, or Kaladin. So I wonder if a soulcaster might be called a soulcaster because instead of Stormlight, you use your own soul light to power it.
But we saw like when Jasnah has used it, like the light and the gems on her soulcaster have gone out.
Yeah, after she used it, right? So I'm saying that the soulcasters are being powered by something inside of you in your soul and stuff.
Oh, and that's why she can't figure out how to use it? Is that kind of what you're saying?
No.
No. Okay. Sorry.
Pay attention. This is a very good theories and
I am paying attention.
No, so no, I for it to go out, I wonder if you can use up too much of your soul, and that could hurt you and stuff like that. And I wonder if
and that's how
maybe
her father.
yes, this is possibly how Shallan's dad died, and then also why Jasnah has not used the soulcaster after the lesson because she did too much.
So it's not actually broken. They're just idiots who don't know how it works. Is that
Yeah,
what I'm hearing?
yeah.
Man, that would not endear these guys to me.
That would be pretty stupid. But then she would have two soulcasters, which could make her like a super powered person.
What happens when she just sees Jasnah use her soulcaster next time, and it's just fine?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't broken, and so she stole it for nothing. And all of this was for nothing.
How dumb would that be?
Yeah, I know. I doubt that, but man, I would laugh.
Well, I do have one thing to say about that is that Luesh, their steward, he was the one that had used the soulcaster for their father, and he's also the one that told them it was broken.
I don't trust that guy. I think he was in with the bad crowd and they killed him. Then, kind of another thing related is Tien said that there were maybe spren in rocks, or Kaladin's mom said that too. And then, are there special spren in gemstones? There's a quote from Anna Green Gables. She was really obsessed with Marilla's amethyst brooch, and she asks if amethysts are the souls of good violets. And I was like, that would be interesting if gemstones had a special spren in them, and that's why they are used, because
I mean, by the logic of the book, I could see that being true. If the way spren are described to us is what they are, which I'm uncertain about.
There's a lot of words and things being thrown around, because I guess there are some minerals in gems in rocks, but then there's also the ones in like the animals and stuff, Are the ones in the animals the ones being used to power these like soulcasters? Or are they the same as one that's dug up? Are they the same? I don't know.
I don't know what you just asked. I'm totally lost, sorry.
So there's gems in the soulcasters and in their spheres, And so I was wondering if those are dug up from the ground in the rocks of the earth or the planet, or are they only found in the creatures that they hunt, you know? Like, are those different?
Oh, okay. Is that the
Yeah.
only place they originate? Is in those
Yeah.
creatures?
Or are they
Or
the
are there
same?
actually like a shitload down below? The creatures are just like.
Eating?
I think that they power them. I think they have to power the creatures. Otherwise, why would they have them in them? You know.
Yeah. There's a lot of things I don't
Oh
really
God!
know.
So the creatures, the what are they called? The crab guys. She says that humans have souls, so it's different. You're saying they're stealing their souls because they're actually sentient beings we're killing? Is that it?
I think, well, yeah, this killing and hunting of the crab monsters I think it's like that. It reminds me of an Avatar when they do that, you know? They go in,
So
they
the
dig it out.
Parshendi, yeah, the Parshendi are just hunting them to take out their souls and then put them in a new body. They're trying to save them. Is that it? But the Alethi are trying to harvest them out to do all this messed up like blood magic shit.
Mhm. And then I wanted to ask, is there a difference between fabrials and then the spheres? Like, I don't know if I asked this already. Or are they used
Spheres
both?
are just like spheres are just their money. They're pretty much like little glass spheres with like a gemstone inside it.
Okay.
Fabrials are like a technology.
Okay.
So fabrials explain a lot of things. So like a soulcaster, it uses gems and stuff for like it has like the gems on it. So those are kind of fabrial. The heating fabrials because they use it to power like heat and stuff. And
I see.
fabrials are just like a technology.
So maybe that's it. Normal gems, like they say diamonds are in the spheres, you know? Those are dug up from the earth. But maybe fabrials use different kind of like the special animal gems. I'm gonna call them soul gems.
You can't
That
just
they
make up your own lingo and then start making theories off of it. It's very frustrating to hear.
Also, that we're specifically told like the gems in this in Jasnah's
Oh
soulcaster. I think it
yeah.
was like a ruby, a smokestone, and I forgot what the other one was.
Okay. So they do have those in them too. Interesting. Okay. Then I guess my second theory is that Parshmen and Alethi and all people, I guess, are the same, but specifically the Parshmen, who are Parshendi and who I think have come together and found harmony, like literally with their singing together. And because they've come together, they've found purpose and strength. And
Don't tell me the Alethi are going to have to start singing, Sheta.
yes,
I
they're
don't want
gonna
to see that.
cross
It's going to
arms
turn into
and
a musical. We're all in this together as
together.
they charge in to fight the stuff. No, no, thank you.
Yes. That is why the Parshendi who are not of the body, not part of the bigger group, are lost and disconnected from the main body.
I like
And
that. I like
mhm,
that a lot, actually. Yeah, they're like a unisoul, right? They're
mhm,
not the same as us. I like that a
'cause-
lot. That makes a lot more sense than what I was thinking.
mhm.
Because my thought was that the ones that are in our society are just pretending to be docile, and it's like 1,000-year plan to take over the world. I like yours a lot better. I'm gonna adapt it into my thinking.
Yeah. Because it was weird to say that they were just purposeless, like they were just directionless and lost. So I think that is kind of like how the Alethi are currently, because they're what are they even doing? They are lost too. Not in the same way as the Parshmen, but since the goal of their god or whatever's talking to Dalinar is to bring his people together, I think this is the purpose. And I think when they do, if they ever do, they will evolve and ascend into a god powered people instead of this kind of mess, you know? So I think that this bringing them together to find harmony together is a more like actual purposeful thing.
Or they'll be taken over by this entity like the Parshendi have been for a negative purpose. And you should not come together, and you should be
I mean, that
fiercely
makes sense.
individualistic, and that's why they have so many duels in Alethi culture. To protect you from becoming too comradely with your allies.
That would be such a twist
I
because
don't even know what the moral of that book would be.
yeah, I don't either. as people who value our independence so much, like humans, and our individuals are so important to run things, like I wonder what the lesson would be in that. It could be evil. That face
And the
could be
Alethi
evil.
lesson is also to pursue one thing to its fullest and have your purpose like that,
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty selfish, capitalistic type of thinking. Maybe Brandon's Tendencin's trying to tell us to not believe in this Kami Parshendi stuff, and that's the deeper meaning.
I mean, the Parshendi aren't that great either. Like, they hunt those things, and they also are very violent and stuff, So, I don't know. I mean, I guess we don't know
All I
much
can
about
say is I
them,
don't
so.
trust anyone who grows a crab body, that's for sure. Or who grows fucking armor on their body. No, thank you. And then sings while battling.
We grow similar things. We have nails and stuff, and calluses.
Yeah, and if I didn't have nails, I would think that was fucking disgusting.
You're a bigot, Justin.
Against Parshendi, I guess.
Against everything
And-
weird. The
And
eyebrows
the
you don't
eyebrow
like.
people. Yeah, no, just let's wipe them all out. Alethi are right all along. I don't even like the multicolored hair, actually, so let's just burn this whole planet.
Justin, how do you feel about the Natson people who had like the palish blue skin and like the woolly white
Don't even
hair?
get me started. That shit was gross. When they described that, I'm like, no, we don't want them. Keep them out of my neighborhood.
Just think of them like the Chith, but old.
Yeah, I don't want a bunch of fucking Muppets moving into my neighborhood. That's all I can say.
Jeez. That sounds really derogatory.
Hey, I left Sesame Street to get away from that kind of crap. Take over the neighborhood and ruin everything. Suddenly you
Get
got
out of here.
people living in
Self-in.
garbage cans on every corner, fucking vampires hanging around. No, fuck that shit.
All right. And then I guess my last comment is, now we know the bath scene is why they want to adapt these books. They're just like, oh, yeah, let's adapt these.
We got to get this one out now.
Yeah.
That's the first
like-
one.
There's a
Sheta, do you know how fucking tame that bath scene will be in a show or movie? It'll be the
Well-
tamest shit you've ever seen.
I just mean, this is an entire scene where one of our main characters is naked the whole time. And I was like, it's like that Daenerys scene, but it's actually in the book. Like,
No.
a whole
It's not
bath
happening.
scene.
Not happening. It's going to be the tamest shit. You're going to be so disappointed when they adapt Warbreaker and you see how all the slutty god people dress.
No way. I want this to be an HBO Plus rated R.
No way in hell will it be like that.
It
You
depends.
take every excuse to show boobs you possibly can route.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's how
until
you'll get
even
people
I
talking.
get sick of it.
Yeah, Game of Thrones got a little bit over the top with that. It's like, okay, we need to explain this history of the Targaryens and their kings and stuff. Okay, let's do it while Viserys and this prostitute are having sex in a bath. Oh, okay.
As good as time as any. I hate that. They're not even real characters. That's why. It's just to do it. What does
Well,
that mean?
the scene I just described was two real characters, but they did start doing it a bunch in Littlefinger's brothel, having just like made up characters having sex and.
I mean, that scene's not in the book. Is what I'm saying. May as well be like Blood Rain and hire a bunch of real life prostitutes to be in the background. Like,
Just, you have the show's totally normal, but you've got dancing strippers in the background of every scene to keep people entertained as the boring
Yeah.
parts happen.
yeah.
Like, you have Eddard and Littlefinger talking about the revelations about the dark hair, and you just got a couple modern-day strippers in the background dancing. Nobody pays any mind to them. Just like, we need to keep in mind the lowest common denominator audience. They get bored easily. They tuned
there
in
you
for
go.
something
There you go.
specific. I want to see that kind of show. That sounds fucking hilarious.
Or the show got to some points like, we haven't had Emilia Clarke topless in like 2 seasons. All right, get her topless, put her in front of a fire. It got ridiculous at some points. Like that, this one was not really necessary. Okay.
Well-
Let's go back to Brandon Sanderson, away from Game of Thrones.
Away from Emilia Clarke's nude scenes. But
I
do you
cast her as Vivenna.
Oh, Lavenna, you're not gonna see her naked. Just kidding.
She
She
was
wouldn't
down in
do
a
it
shift
anyways.
for.
Huh?
She's done with that. She got so sick of that shit. You know, the show's pretty exploitative even at the beginning, but it's relatively tasteful. You can keep your actors going for it, but once they're like, you don't like, what are you doing here? If you're doing it for no reason, I could get really sick of it if I was a actress, you know.
Mhm.
All right. Any
Yeah.
is that all your theories?
Yeah, but I just also wanted to say that this bath scene kind of still helps my theory about
No,
them being into each other.
no. Actually, it does not. No way in hell was her description of her that tame if she had the hots for her. No way in
This is not
hell.
the first bath, and then also she's kind of having a moral debate inside her and stuff. So she's kind of distracted, but
We literally
even
see in a
still-
couple chapters when she's attracted to somebody, she's very blatant and upfront about it. She's like, I shouldn't keep talking to him. I'm worried about what will happen. No way, your theory's dead in the water, Sheta. It's
well,
over.
maybe for Shallan, I never said it was a little less from her end since she's really young. She doesn't know what she likes yet. But Jasnah though is older and more experienced, and I could see her
Oh my
thinking
god.
that, you know,
I am going to jump through this mic and attack you. There is no evidence
This
on that
isn't my
theory
quote, but I will
whatsoever.
say the quote that I wrote down. Perhaps we have spent too much time indoors of late, the princess said. You look penned, Shallan, anxious. I'm fine, Shallan said brusquely. Yes, as evidenced by your perfectly reasonable, relaxed tone. Perhaps we need to shift some of your training from history to something more hands-on, more
Stop
visceral.
reading that in a breathy voice. That is not how that scene
That's
was said.
exactly how
And
it
we all
happened.
know she brought her out to show her killing 4 people. Do not grab these out of context and then just read them in a breathy voice as evidence of some relationship that doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
I could read any line in the book with like just a flirtatious voice, you know, and make it seem like anything.
And just like she massaged the soap into her mistress's lush tresses. Well, calling her mistress is very kinky, I think.
No, it's not. That's what she is. She is her mistress. Joe's
Yes,
sitting there like
mistress.
knowing that they're just gonna hook up in the next chapter and keeping his mouth zipped. I'm gonna
Okay.
look like
Anything.
such an idiot.
Sheeta, I think the better lines for your examples would be like we're, talking about, yep, even floating in the bath, like how beautiful she was and
Mm-hmm.
how her lines, her body was just like perfect or stuff like that, or better examples.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. See, she's thinking these, but she's just distracted, Justin. Okay, and that.
I'm steaming.
Oh, I'm leaving. I'll
steaming.
drop the mic right there.
I get mic dropped. I just got served, I guess.
All right. Well, let's move on to characters of the week then.
Mine is Jasnah for teaching or for taking notice of all of Shallan's things and trying to teach her a philosophical lesson by killing 4 guys, and the cold, callous, brutal ass way she mercilessly killed all 4 of those guys, while also showing off all her different frickin' ring powers at the same time. And then telling her student, spend the next week thinking about if this was an act of good or evil, and leaving it at that.
Yes, I also pick Jasnah for all that, being very badass and having her own like moral. I doubt this is the first time she's done something like this.
I'm going the opposite end, and I'm going with Shallan for stealing the soulcaster.
No, so Shallan's a dipshit for how she did that. I'm so mad at her.
She did do it I was a little impressed that she did it, but I was a little worried about how she did it.
Yeah, exactly. And don't be impressed that she did it. She did it on an emotional whim. She never made the conscious decision
I mean,
to
she
do it.
pulled it off, like
She
actually
did pull it
this-
off.
Yeah.
The description of how cleanly and clearly she did that, I was impressed with.
Yeah. And for Jasnah, still looking fine as a woman in her 30s, mid-30s.
30s is not that old.
Yeah, but she looked like really amazing and stuff. So that's She did that, and she
Um,
looked good while she did it. And that's not true. Not everyone stays like that when they get older.
Well, she
I
hasn't
know
had kids
30s.
that we know of, right? I mean, maybe she has, and
I know
she
30s
takes
is not
care
that
of her
old.
skin, clearly, takes care of herself, right?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
she has like 50 brushes of hair, which I thought was hilarious to see.
Man,
It'll be
sometimes I
50
wish I had
brushes
a
today.
handmaiden.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brush my hair, wash my
And
hair.
she's got access to any food or things she'd need, so I don't see any reason she wouldn't look
So it's like
relatively
a celebrity, you're
fine.
saying? Like, could
You know, especially in the time when, you know, it's not like you see internet thoughts like you do nowadays, so beautiful is gonna be different back then, you know.
no
You see
filters?
like what, five women in your who could even be described as moderately attractive in your entire life, you know.
Normal women are too busy working and being and not have time to bathe. Like,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no, because even Shallan described bathing as being very terrible, and she was a noble, so the
mhm,
peasants aren't doing it. That's for sure.
for sure. But then I love that Kaladin's mother, who works really hard, is just as beautiful, like she seems like a true beauty too.
Well, she's got a beautiful soul. Was there any evidence she's actually like
Yeah, Kaladin
beautiful?
says that most people considered his mom really
Okay,
beautiful.
okay, I
And
see.
then Kaladin's dad said, "Never, I should have never brought my beautiful wife into the sticks." And,
Well, everyone would say that about their wife if they love her.
not true.
Should have never brought this hog with me. Really ruining the tail I could get. Is that the alternative?
I'm just saying, not everyone thinks their wife is beautiful, which is sad.
All right, and I just need to say, I'm sorry if I cut someone off when I said my character earlier. After I said it, I realized my earbud had died, so I don't know if anybody was talking.
Oh, you absolutely did. You cut
I
Sheta
am
off very rudely.
I am so sorry. I didn't hear anybody talking, so I went. And then all of a sudden I look and I see you two are still talking about something. It's like I can't hear anything.
Oh no, I was wondering.
I am so sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, I wasn't going to embarrass you on it. So.
Well, you could have. I would not have known what you said until I edited the episode.
Then I would have thought, what a fucking asshole. He doesn't even respond. And we both would have quit the podcast.
I think it still went
Yeah,
pretty
I
smooth.
don't know.
Yeah, like
Okay. Well, I'll find out how you guys reacted to it when I edit the episode.
We didn't. We were talking. That's all.
Okay.
we talked about Shallan for a bit after you said that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I threw a bunch of shade at Shallan, and then you didn't react. I thought I just pissed you off too much.
All right. Well, let's move over to the quotes then.
My quote was basically said in the recap, but I'm going to say it anyways because I liked it, which is, it's at the end. It's Sigil talking about the, they hang the criminals over the cliff. Just when he says, but the prisoners almost always take the chance. The Marbethians have a saying for someone who refuses to see the truth of a situation. You have eyes of red and blue. Red for the blood dripping, blue for the water. It is said that those two things are all the prisoners see. Usually they are attacked within one day, and yet most still wish to take the chance. They prefer the false hope. And then continues, you do good work. At first I hated you for lying to the men, but I have come to see that a false hope makes them happy. What you do is like giving medicine to a sick man to ease his pain until he dies. Now these men can spend their last days in laughter. You are a healer indeed, Kaladin Stormblessed. I thought it was interesting that he'd always heard that quote and probably always thought it was stupid and that it was a dumb thing. But now he's seeing the purpose of hope. It's not a false hope in the case of the men here, because they're not really thinking about life and death. They're just living in the moment. And seeing that even for the prisoners, they're not thinking about life and death. They're thinking, I can go a little longer. And in that long length, I can hope that maybe I'll live. Maybe I won't suffer. And so I just thought it was an interesting comparison and an interesting way to describe Kaladin as giving medicine basically by what is the point in sitting there and feeling nothing for a few days before you die? Like, what a
I love
wasted time. Mm-hmm. What's that?
That comparison was really good with the a dying man thing, like
Mm-hmm.
we all agree we want to ease that pain and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and so what is the harm in doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and to see it like that for the first time is really interesting
Mm-hmm.
and nice, because
And I think it's so fascinating because we all know we're all going to die. Everyone knows that for like the majority of their life, but you don't just sit around and do nothing. And you're like, what's the difference between 20 years and 2 days? Like, it's just moments, So just giving up like that, giving into that despair, like you should fight, you should try to live, of course. But if you're condemned to die, there's nothing you can do about it. It seems almost cowardly to choose to be executed and not be hung over the cliff like that, I think I'd rather just be executed, but if the time comes, I'm picking to be dangled over because I'll get a few more minutes, A horrible death, probably, it sounds like, but...
I guess my quote is just, I wonder about this quote. So it's Kaladin 5.5 years ago talking with his mom about spren, and she goes, "What's up with you asking all these questions?" And he just says, "I want to understand. I want everything to make sense." And I thought that was interesting because later, actually, Jasnah says that about Shallan and about how when we're young, we want to know exactly that. It's almost the same thing. She says to her, like, you want everything to make sense. And then when you get older, you kind of let people tell you what makes sense and stuff instead of trying to get to the truth of it or the bottom of it or something. I just thought that was interesting that those two, but that was kind of a theme.
I didn't realize those two. That's very true. That's really interesting because he is young when he starts to think that, but he's going from being a child to an adult. That seems quite blatant now,
Mm. And then as an honorable mention, I also was going to pick Kaladin. Look at this rock.
That's it?
Yeah. I just love Tien so much. He's so cute and like I love his love of rock so much. I want that on a shirt.
And then mine is during the meeting between Lirin and Roshone. Alright, starts off with Lirin talking. If we lack for something to eat, we can feast upon the attention you lavish upon us, bright lord. We feel your eyes watching, hear your whispers to the townspeople. Judging from the degree of your concern with us, it would seem that you are the one who is intimidated. Roshone fell still, skewer held limply in his hand. Brilliant green eyes narrowed, lips pursed tight. In the dark, those eyes almost seemed to glow. Cal had to stop himself from cringing under the weight of that disapproving gaze. There was an air of command about Light Eyes like Roshone. He's not a real Light Eyes, he's a reject. I'll see real ones eventually, men of honor. Lirin held the gaze evenly. Every month we resist is a blow to your authority. You can't have me arrested since I would win an inquest. You've tried to turn the other people against me, but they know, deep down, that they need me. Roshone leaned forward. I do not like your little town. Lirin frowned at the odd response. I do not like being treated like an exile, Roshone continued. I do not like living so far from anything, everything important. And most of all, I do not like dark eyes who think themselves above their stations. I have trouble feeling sympathy for you. Roshone sneered. He looked down at his meal as if it had lost any flavor. I just liked it with just Lirin just easily standing up to Roshone and just beating him down. And at the end, Roshone like says all this stuff, and then Lirin's like, I have no sympathy for you. And Roshone just like loses all flavor in his meal.
What a little bitch.
Yeah, fuck that guy. Now we'll just look at a couple comments that we had. All these are for the our episode for Way of Kings, Interlude 4 through Chapter 31. Alright, so first one's from Koval Petro 28. For Justin about fictional history books. If I understood correctly, I think you would enjoy Fire and Blood because it is a book written by a maester combining different sources. So you have speculation
really?
presented as facts. But don't take my word for it because I have not yet read that. Is just what I heard about it.
I see.
But yeah, that is what it is.
Annotations. That's what I like best, is annotations.
I don't think so, but it is a book where the way it's written, it's like a book where it's like saying the history, and like at some points, like he uses 3 sources, and it's like, all right, according to what this Archmaester at this time said, it says this. According to this person,
Okay.
said this, and then according to, and one of the sources for this large section of it, it's like there's a court jester mushroom, where his accounts are usually a lot more salacious and everything. And
All right, that does sound up my alley then.
yeah, well, you've had my copy for a while. All right. Next is from J Ramirez 34. I'm glad I'm not the only one that had such issue with the use of arrogance. Sand-
So my crash
Sanderson
out
is
was allowed. Okay.
Sanderson has repeatedly used the translation argument to justify word usage that takes you out of the book in world or out of the in-book world, and it drives me crazy as well.
I've got an ally. I'm so glad. You never make that excuse, and I'd never question it. He brought this on himself, and we will continue to complain
Point it out.
needlessly about it with nobody listening.
Another one from J Ramirez 34, because there was, it was about our length of the episode, because it was like we had 2 3-hour episodes in a row. If they edit out Sheta shipping, it probably knocks off an hour, but it's a freaking hilarious hour.
Oh, no. Only because you guys fight and argue with me too. Or Justin being like, no, stop.
I can't let illogic go. I just can't. It's not in my nature.
Love is not
if I hear
logical, Justin.
batshit insanity, but love is illogical. Okay. I can't argue with that.
But Justin, which do you think is which in your opinion has been the craziest one that you just like no?
Dalinar Sadius, or Adolin Sadius, easily. Absolute nonsense. That almost gave me an aneurysm to hear.
I'm sad that we're away from the battlefield zone. Like,
you made me thankful we're leaving that section of the book. I hope we never see Sadius again. That's how I feel now.
Right. Next from Karen Key 4940. May I recommend the Scythe series by Neil Shusterman if you want to watch people argue about history. The epigraphs in the third book are 2 historians arguing with each other about what really happened in the fictional past.
All right, I'll have to write that one down. That sounds fun.
Next one's from Alcade 946. Because they've been going along with us. It's like, they were saying, like, reading through, they noticed one thing in the epigraphs that we've referenced of the weird things that Shallan drew. Because they noticed that in chapter 4, the epigraph of that one, of the death quotes, was, I'm dying, aren't I? Healer, why do you take my blood? Who is that beside you with his head of lines? I can see a distant sun, dark and cold, shining in a black sky. 11
You're
seconds
right.
pre-death.
You're right. Yeah. That was yeah. Well, thank you for pointing that one out. I'd forgotten about that. That was fucking weird, though. Ugh. Head of lines. Ugh. That's fucking weird.
sorry, I missed that. You'll have to recap me later.
Oh, he just pointed out that the things Shallan drew likely were described in one of the early epigraphs when somebody died. That they said, healer, what's that beside you with the head of lines, and then all these very detailed descriptions. You could chapter 4, he said, so you can look it up.
I see.
Yeah, that's fucking cool. I like that.
Yeah, but then they say, so maybe other people can see them too.
Upon death, it sounds like. Because that's I really do assume, and this just furthers my belief, that the people trying to research this are trying to see these things that exist in the darkness, and the darkness would be something you cross over upon death, I assume.
I wonder if those are just weird spren. Like you know how there was
spren?
Yeah, because we saw that giant like kind of whale spren in the ocean and stuff in that one story,
See,
so
now you got me with a paranoid theory, Sheta. I think that the death spren are, you know what? Remind me next time. I'll say it during the theories, because it might actually be a theory, not just an idea. So yeah, remind me next time.
No, take your own notes. I'm not going to remember.
I'll remind myself.
I don't know what you're even thinking.
And then next was from Ald Chad. Hey Joe, I'm not 100% on this, but I'm pretty sure that you do inhale fire moss. Rubbing it between your fingers is what produces the smoke.
I wonder.
Just and I could be wrong. I don't remember if it says if they like inhale it, but I always remember that they rub it between their fingers and it produces a smoke. I just didn't know if it was that got them high or if they did that to get the smoke and then inhale it.
Mm.
And then our last comments from Dek Ha. This was probably my favorite theory segment so far. We'll try, won't, do anything with spoilers, but it was a total mix of both of them being so close to being right for the total wrong reasons. Collectively having separate theories that merged would be the exact story, and being totally convinced of things that are very wrong. Or one might call it arrogance.
Oh my god.
Yeah, even arrogant. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yep. So those are all the comments we've gotten. So now let's look forward to next week. And next week we'll be reading 4 chapters. Chapters 41 through 44.
So I don't know if this will be exciting for anyone, but I have filled out my notebook for all the Cosmere stuff.
So you have to get a new notebook?
Filled it
I
up with
really-
like paranoid, batshit insane conspiracy and shipping
Yeah.
things. Is that it?
Yep. So I was kind of like thinking of getting a new one just for the Stormlight stuff, but there was enough to use up still, so now I have to split my notes between 2 books.
So yep. Next week, chapters 41 through 44. So everyone go out and, read those. And, for the rest of the week, you know what? Go to someplace and get yourself a milkshake.
I can support that for the first time. I do.
But I'm on a diet. I'm
Tough shit,
resisting milkshakes.
fatty. Have your milkshake.
No.
And afterwards, then sing that song from the mid-2000s.
Fuck no. We escaped that song. Let's leave that back where it deserves to be.
That song is a classic.
That song is awful.
That song
Hey,
made a slight comeback recently.
That song was part of a funny scene in Dodgeball.
That's the only correct use of that song.
All right. So, yeah, everyone, you have your mission for the next week if you choose to accept it. Go out and have fun. This podcast will self-destruct.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Run!
Bye.